That church in our town, those Willie Browns, so small, so certain, and they caused mass grave tragedy. They were bandits. They crept in, tiptoed around in the dark. We couldn't see what they were doing at the time, but we felt it. We felt it. Oh, those Willie Browns. They robbed us blind. They stole our souls. They hung out their shingles as soul savers, even as they were destroying them. They replaced our love, our joy, our emotions, our tragedy, rage, sorrow, violence, lust, desire. Sorry, I'm embarrassing you. Love, they burnt it down. But listen, our love, our resilience, our madness, we go crazy. Of course, we are humans. They took all those things. They replaced them with evil and with guilt. Oh my God, guilt. Cheapest creeper. But we slay their hypocrisy with their jokes. High five. They took all those things we need to navigate the world. They took the beautiful things right under our noses. Crept in like thieves. Replace our tolerance with condemnation, our desire with shame, our feeling with sin, our wild joy with discipline, our agency with obedience, our imagination with rules, every act of joyous rebellion with crushing hatred, our impulses with self-loathing, our empathy with sanctimoniousness, threat, cruelty, our curiosity with isolation, willful ignorance, and fatalism, punishment. Our fires with ashes, our love with fear and trembling. They took our life fire, and so we fight to reclaim it. We fight and we fight and we fight. We fight to love. We fight to love ourselves. We fight for access to our feelings, for access to our fires. We fight for access to God. They stole our God from us. We fight for our lives. Some of us lose the fight. Oh, it can bring a person to his knees. It can. There are few losses in life that can bring a person to his knees. Oh, I'm sorry. A person gets angry. My tongue will tell the anger of my heart, or else my heart concealing it will break. The timing of the show. Swift, are you awake? Are you awake? You got me there. I thought you have really fallen asleep. I thought I would really have to say all these things over again. You, Dr. Damages, I hereby sentence you to 12 months in prison with hard labor for neglecting your family, and especially your father who did everything to get you where you are today. No.
Daddy, wake up.
I had a terrible nightmare. A judge sentenced me to prison for neglecting grandpa.
Did you not give him food items?
I'm a busy doctor.
In that case, nto.
If I catch you,
Daddy, it's very easy. Go to helpmewaka.com, choose any food item anywhere in Nigeria or Ghana. Gari, chicken, rice, yam, anything you want.
I will do just that.
You better, because next time it'll be your village people that come for you.
I cover myself with the blood of Jesus.
See, Negodu.
Saying to Nigerians watching today that you will not.
I will not, and I said it, I will never
seek.
I will not even, it's not in the dream. I've never done any day, and that will not call.
To be vice president.
I will not. How will it be?
Can you honestly, truly say to yourself that our country has changed for the better? Are our children safe when they go to school? Are our parents safe when we leave them at home? Is the naira in your bank account of greater value today than it was 4 years ago? I, Muhammad Buhari, I am urging you to help your PVC And on election day, you go peacefully and vote and make sure your vote count. Thank you very much.
He feeds the gods with agege bread and melinda drink. He goes home and feeds his family with the rams of these wretched souls. He covers their body with dusting powder. He covers our eyes with his display of Iberiberism. He is, after all, Unyozi Jesus of Mbo. Oh, on a serious note, I cried watching this. For so long, I've made fun of the joke that this man has been. I've considered his antics mere entertainment. But today, something struck me. I just realized that it is much more than entertainment. While some of us are laughing at his foolishness, many more of us are trapped under his spell. Yes, there are many of us with compromised emotional intelligence. Many of us do not have the courage to be strong in the face of hardship. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our children that we are unintentionally feeding to this hyena. And there are many like him all around us. If we learn something from him, it is that there are always 5% of people who will buy whatever it is that you are selling. 5%. And 5% is a lot of people. We owe it to our society to save them from themselves. If there is anything that COVID-19 has taught the world, it is that if we allow 5% of any population to be infected by disease or by stupidity, we will all pay the price. The stupidity that we allow to blossom will eventually sweep us off our ivory towers. The perfect residence is an estate located within Beechwood Estate, Lakue, Lagos. The estate has 24-hour light, 24-hour security, and 24-hour water supply, an artificial lake, good drainage, and a central sewage system. Live Card Company is introducing Spring Island. Yes! Spring Island is a beautiful waterfront estate with lots of amenities and proposed access to a mini jetty where you can use a speedboat to Ikoyi if you don't want to use the access road. In its neighborhood, it has the Lakue Lakes, the Lakue Golf Course, Omu Resort, Green Spring British School. In just 3 months, the land has appreciated by as much as 20%. At Perfect Residence, a 450 square meter land is now 14.5 million. A 600 square.
Tonight, does the Peter Obi dirty ticket have a solution to insecurity in Nigeria?
We do.
And what is that?
My answer is that we do. Just take it. We do.
What solution do you have?
We do have the solution.
How would you fix it? Nigerians want to know.
We do have the solution. My good friend, please take it as that.
You don't want to divulge?
Better not to.
I mean, anyone that wins this election will have to tell Nigerians how they hope.
See, I'd like to give you answers, but let me ask you this, which will be my answer. What is it in the past that Nigerians have not heard? What did APC not tell you? I don't want to call the name. What did Buhari not say about restoring security? What allegations, unsubstantiated, did they not make? Are Nigerians not tired of hearing people talk and do the opposite? His Excellency Peter Obi and I are completely different mix of these kind of politicians. And that is why we're seeking that opportunity. When we get that opportunity, we will deliver. Talking, the importance of talking has been destroyed by the failure of this administration. I feel ashamed to talk because someone like, I don't want to say the name, someone like Buhari has talked and he failed. So I don't want to talk. I want to do, I want to act. And we have the solution. By God's grace, Nigeria will be safe and secure. I'm not talking because people talked carelessly, recklessly, didn't even know how to go about it. I'm not going to be one of those. Neither will Peter Obi be one of those.
This is the call the government. I will call the government. Nonsense.
And I must have to read out a personal message I did write and I penned down. As many of you know, in the last 2 days, I've been in the news for the wrong reasons. This has resulted in needless distractions for my friends, family, members of the public, and all my colleagues here on Arise News. I'd like to apologize to all parties over what transpired during the incident with the police when I was stopped for driving on a bus lane. I cannot and dare not lay claims to know it all. Lessons have been learned from this entire episode, and this has been a very humbling experience for me.
I've learned that it sucks that we may not get everything that we ask for. But that does not stop us from getting the one thing that we did not want: death. I've learned that no matter how much of it that you have, money will always be scarce. What really matters is how much errands you can get the money you have to run for you. I've learned that while some kinds of history announce themselves when they arrive, more often than not, they join without fanfare, participate anonymously, and it is long after they are gone that we feel the distance they have pushed mankind. I have learned that propaganda has its place in war and in peace, but it's never a substitute for hitting the pavements to win the hearts and minds. I have learned that the greatest evil out there is not the evil that we see or the ones that we confront, but the evil that infects us for seeing or confronting it. If we are unconscious of that, we won't know when we become incarnate of that evil that we thought we slayed. I've learned that the only insane people on earth are those who scream that the sun will rise tomorrow. I've learned that in marriage and in career, people do not settle because they are tired or because they are cowards. People settle when the mountain that they are climbing starts to grow as they climb. I've learned that from the perspective of the victim, a horrific offense is not made better by punishment. And from the perspective of the perpetrator, it is not made worse by revenge. I have learned that it is often someone who is drunk that protests, "I am not drunk." And so it is that a person who is stupid protests by saying, "I am not stupid." I have learned that fractured bones heal faster than fractured souls. I have learned that I will keep learning until I get educated, which only happens when we are dead. Blessed are those who know how much they need to know before they know how little they know. It's Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, I'm behind. I'm behind. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. Welcome to another episode of Have Your Say 247. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss, and already I have my people here, and I have Raf. Raf is joining us from Brooklyn. Raf, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
And
Rudolph.
Alexi. Yeah,
I'm
Alex.
trying a new browser today, so
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
thank you.
It looks wonderful. Alexi is joining us from
North
not sure,
Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, Alexi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah. So there are so many things going on across the country and across Nigeria and Africa, and we want to start with uh, our first topic, which is about reincarnation. But I know, we want to talk about it, but we are going to touch on some of the breaking news across Nigeria. One of the interesting ones was the story about the Nigerian government buying cars for Niger Republic, spending billions to buy vehicles for Niger Republic. People were outraged. And then we are going to talk about Rufai Hosseini, the Arise TV host, who got into an altercation with the police, and his apology. This is one of these moments that I think is very important for Nigerians to talk about it. But first of all, let's talk about reincarnation. I have to introduce a few other people. Sunday Mosu is joining us from Lagos. Sunday, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Rudolph. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Jonaba is joining us from Dallas, Texas. Jonaba, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right. So let's start with reincarnation. Now, I pose this question because part of the things that happened to Africans, and on Wednesdays, we try to talk about what connects us as Africans, especially those abroad, and it connects to people at home too. When Europeans came to Africa, they basically declared most of the things we used to believe in, most of the things we used to do as bad, and we threw it away. And we want to, as societies develop, we want to look back and say, are they all bad? What did we lose in the process? So I want to have that conversation with people. I invited some pastors. I have John Abba. I know he's a pastor. I invited some people who are into some of these subjects, and we will spend a few minutes talking about it. I will start with my story. I am my grandfather. I know. I actually wrote a memoir about that, and it's not out yet, but it's a subject that is serious to my people. And I want to hear your story. This is your show. Have your say. So, Raf, do you have any experience of reincarnation? Are you an incarnate of anybody else?
Yeah, I've had experiences where from our basic speak, you've always had relatives say, "Oh, someone is not mute."
Okay, I'll try to find out who.
Uh, there's always family members who use language of, "Oh, this child is literally this person who came back." This person looks, they use language like that, like, "Oh, this." Maybe, I use myself like an example, like Raf is, like my name's I was named after my grandfather, but no one has said I'm literally my grandfather, because I also have a cousin who I'm Raphael Harry, which my grandfather is Raphael Harry, but he's Raphael Thomas Egime Harry, and my cousin is the Thomas. I'm Raphael, and they give my cousin Thomas. So I don't understand the logic there. So, but none of us has 10 wives, so I think we still have work to do there. And none of us. He died at 54, so I'm just 40. So both of us, we still have. We'll see if we die at 54, right? But every culture is not limited to only Africa. Like even is big in the Indian part of the subcontinent of India. It's also a big thing, the reincarnation idea. One thing that I push back on a little bit is that when we always say Europeans changed, told us that it's bad. I'm like, what about the Arabs that brought Islam?
Oh
That,
yeah. No, of course,
the Islam part. I understood, but I'm like, but we don't always leave that side out of it. I'm like, what? But the Islamic people, did they say it was good to be reincarnated, or did they say it's not? Because in one of the books that I have been fortunate enough to have gone through, the let me just pull up the title. It's in my Audible. It's Muhammad, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, Jesus, and it's literal. Is one of the books that's like dive deep into the lives of the four men and the religions that they founded or are supposed to have founded, and that was the first time that I found out that Buddha is a saint in the Russian and most of the Eastern Orthodox Christianities, but not in Roman Catholic and going forward the Western side of Christianity. So how come Buddha, and if you go with Buddha's religion, reincarnation is recognized, but not in the Western side of Christianity? So there's what we call K-leg that's left there. So I'm like, yeah, so it depends on which Christianity you are practicing. Those people choose they pick and choose which version of reincarnation they want to go with. So yeah, for me personally, I don't really. I go with whoever is standing in front of me. If you're the person that want to pour libation with me, yeah, we'll believe in reincarnation. If you don't, then we don't.
Okay. All right. We're going to we have two people from Nigeria. We want to hear from them. It's late in Nigeria. Jonaba, I can see you. It looks like you are driving. We will come to you. But let's hear from Sonny. Sonny, welcome to the show. I know you know my grandfather. You know my grandfather. So yeah. So
okay, to that much. I think I sometimes I look at religion as the opium of deceit. Anyway, from my own context, and typically, I believe in reincarnation. I'm a black man. I'm a Nigerian. I'm an Igbo man, and even you yourself, we knew who reincarnated you, and you know it. I wouldn't want to preempt the information until when you wrote out your book. Anyway, and one thing is certain. The religion actually came to bisect, if not confuse the larger society of this earth. And I strongly believe that the way of life, a peculiarity of any particular tribe, or a way of life, if a particular group simplify what they are. In my own context, my grandfather, Nebru, to whom you know too well, reincarnated in people like us, because we stand on the truth. And I could recall the likes of Ezenwaka. I use this, local language for you to understand where I'm coming from. A man that is a traditional medicine man, a great man, but before he died, he always have something like Ofo in his pen. And finally, and one of his son give birth to a boy that looked semblance with the man, and with the same kind of offer he always had on his hand, even at the point of birth. And for every physical character of that guy is 100% resemblance to the great man Ezenwaka. On this note, what can you say about us? I strongly believe in reincarnation. So nobody will take it away from me. So that's my own perception. It was a reincarnation, my brother. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Blessing. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. So we're starting today with reincarnation. Are you a blessing, or have you been here before?
Mm,
What do you believe? What do you believe?
uh, I do believe in reincarnation. I don't know to what extent, but if I do not find answers to certain things, I let my mind wander on whether or not I have been here before. I think a lot of people get that feeling of deja vu once in a while. I know I do. You go to a place and it feels a place you've never been before, and you can almost point out certain landmarks there, even though you've never been there physically before. It feels as though you've been there. You're having a conversation, and you can almost swear that you've had that conversation. Something happens, and you could almost swear that the same thing had happened before. So, since I can't find any other explanations for this kind of occurrences, I like to think that it's our past lives replaying in our present. And I do have a cousin. Yes, I do have a cousin that at his birth, my uncle said he reincarnated. He was my dad's reincarnation. The reason was my dad, before he died, was pretty sick. One part of his leg was almost gone before he finally passed. And when this my cousin was born, for some funny reason, that leg, I think the right leg, I can't remember, the right or left leg, had an issue, just like my dad's. So my uncle now believed his brother, being my dad, had reincarnated. And I don't know if that thought influenced the way I looked at him. I sort of began to see similarities between he and my dad. But that was then. I don't know about now. I haven't seen the little boy in years. I don't know.
All right. All right. Let's hear from a pastor, Pastor John Abba. Reincarnation. Some people are saying that even in the Bible that Joshua reincarnated, that Jesus was an incarnate of Joshua. What would you believe in? Do you have anything like that where you grew up?
Yes. Dr. Damage, good evening, and to Ralph and everybody, blessing, and your brother, good evening, everybody. I believe strongly in reincarnation or reincarnation. My own son, uh, my dad had a mark right by his lower abdomen and one on his side of his forehead. And my son had exactly the same mark in that part of his body. And his way of life, as I have known my father very well, to see him, he reminded me so much of my dad. And not only that, my own younger sister had a dream before he was even born that my dad said that he was coming again. And he was very specific through me. And when my son was born, it was amazing that it came through like that. So, with all this sign and coming to the Bible aspect of it about Jesus is a reincarnation of Joshua, I believe it.
Mm. Okay. All right. So, Ralph, just Steve was asking if there is reincarnation, what's the purpose of life?
That's the question that he should be telling me, because I honestly don't have an answer for that, because I'm a man of science. I don't believe science is not absolute, but certain things are not. I don't think everything should be perfect, but if you believe it's incarnation is one of those things that's 100, then yeah, you should answer that. Give me the answer. I don't claim to have answers to everything. So
Mhm.
if you believe in reincarnation, give me an answer. I'm here to learn too.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sonny, do you have an answer? Stephen 1 is saying, what is the purpose of life if we reincarnate?
Anyway, doctor, I think the mystery of life still remains, I won't know if I will call it paradox of things, you know. Why do I say that? Naturally, we all believe that we are created by, unquote, by God. Though nobody have known the existence of God, is by assumption, okay? And as a layman, like he rightly stated, nobody have monopoly of knowledge. Based on things I've seen, some things I've witnessed in life, that's why I can equally say I believe in reincarnation. However, the purpose of life itself is still only one thing. The same mystery about how we come into existence is only antidote to this question. Okay? If we don't held forth, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I say if we can't say we know what comes up tomorrow, it's just as simple as that. You know, telling me or me giving an answer, the purpose of life is something beyond my imagination anyway. So yes, I believe in incarnation. The how I came into existence is something. It's not something I can be able to simplify. So let me take it at that. Anyway, let's go on as discussion unfolds. Maybe
Yeah.
I can educate myself because all we are doing today is to learn. You know, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Blessing. What's the purpose of life if there is reincarnation?
I think and I will say this because this is how I've explained it to myself. I'm hoping it makes sense to the person that is asking the question. So yeah, I think the purpose of reincarnation in life is that if the theory of reincarnation is that we lived before, then the purpose of reincarnation in life is that we should be able to correct certain mistakes we made in our previous lives, certain things we were not able to do. I strongly believe that for instance, if a person was not able to attain their full potential in their former lives due to a mistake or a mishap, I believe reincarnation gives them a second chance. If a person was murdered and could not fulfill destiny, I believe reincarnation gives them a second chance. If a person dies and the vacuum is too much in a family, I believe the person comes back in a way fill the vacuum. They know it's not the person that died, but having a feel of the person there sort of fills the vacuum a bit. So in a way, well, I think reincarnation just helps us to correct the things we were not able to do in our previous lives
Okay.
in the now.
Okay, that's a good point. I've had that in Western and some Eastern religious texts. Okay, Gabriel, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Will you mind telling us where you're joining us from?
I'm joining from Nigeria, in Abuja.
Abuja, Nigeria. Wow, very good. That must be late. So, yeah, we're talking about reincarnation. Do you have any experience? What do you believe?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Depending on where you are, I strongly believe in reincarnation. Just like Blessing pointed out, if I should go back to the question the person asked, what's the purpose of life if we believe in if there is reincarnation? I think it's somehow has to do with there is no hell, like hellfire, like the Christians puts it, because reincarnation avails you the opportunity to learn from the past. For instance, while I was growing up, I had this terrible eye issue. So it got to a point when I was in university, it was very terrible that I had to ask my mom, there's nobody that has any eye problem in my house. Why is mine? Is it as a result of the Gary that I was drinking while I was in secondary school? I think that was the theory then. So she now said that something, okay, that they used to say that I am not, because they call me Ubunaya. People used to say that there's no way I resemble my dad. There is no way I resemble anybody from her own side. That I am a reincarnation, I'm an incarnate of my grandmom, That's my dad's mother, and she was known for one of the persons who vehemently, fought against Christianity or fought for Christianity. Then there's this stuff this totem in my place. We don't kill green snake. So she killed green snake. She made a mess of it, made fun of those like, to tell the traditionalists that the green snake will not do anything. So she eventually got blind and died with the blindness. So when she told me that, that came with a realization, okay, this could be what I came back with in this lifetime. So I'm an atheist by religion. So I had a dream. In that dream, something was, like a monster was pressing my eyes. I kept screaming, Jesus, 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 because I grew up in a Christian background, and it wasn't going away. It wasn't until I just confronted the thing and looked at it directly, and it vanished into thin air. And that's the end of that eye problem till today. Though I now noticed that, okay, there are some certain things I need to avoid that I'm allergic to, so that I will not, bring back that stuff. So I believe in reincarnation, and I have several experiences. I won't force it down on another person, but for myself, I've proven it to myself that there is reincarnation, and gives us opportunity to make things right or to learn from mistakes and become a better vehicle for God, for humanity. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Alexi, welcome to the show. Unmute yourself, Alexi. Okay, I got you. I'll do that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about reincarnation. What do you think?
Personally, I have not been connected with any reincarnation of any of my ancestors. Yeah.
So you're original.
Well, there are things that are a little mysterious that I can connect myself in that regard. When my father was still alive, I did something. Again, this might even counter the idea of reincarnation. I did something that was almost a repeat of what my father did when he was young. And my uncle, who is older than my father, who witnessed that thing when it happened, when he heard what happened, he began to yell, "This is where Godfrey has reproduced himself." My father's name being Godfrey. He said, in this child, Godfrey had reproduced himself. So since he was still alive at the time this thing happened, I kind of wondered, he couldn't be here, and at the same time I come back in his stead. So that kind of counters reincarnation for me. But I have read stories that some people may not believe, but it came from sources that was hard to disbelieve. You might accuse me of having a slavish mentality if I tell you it was something written from Ireland. And it's about a child who, when he was born, at a very little age, he began to identify things that were there in his first life. He didn't talk about his first life, but he was asking his mother questions that reflected on things that happened before. And his parents became very concerned. And when they decided to put some veracity behind what he has said or to disprove him, they decided to take him to a place where things happened. When they began to suspect that he came in the form of somebody else who had died. And when they got there, he was able to identify things very accurately. He would ask questions, did this happen here? Did that happen there? So with those kind of reports, it just leaves one with crossing your fingers and saying, well, we may not know everything by any particular system of belief. Maybe, just maybe, there is something like that.
Okay. So Ralph, Ralph, go ahead.
So I know most of the people on this panel are Christians or in Christian religions that are closely associated with Christianity. But I just checked with the Encyclopedia Britannica, and it says the major religions that hold a belief in reincarnation, however, are Asian religions, especially Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. I checked also that the Quran rejects the concept of reincarnation, though it preaches the existence of soul. So I just wanted to clarify those. And yeah, so I just found it interesting that most of the Christians on this panel believe in reincarnation. But yeah, go ahead. But you people might have questions to answer with your God somewhere too at the same time.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Alex.
It's not true that Christianity talks about reincarnation in that very vivid way. No, even among the Jews, you had the Pharisees and the scribes, and who had divergent beliefs about life. One of those groups said there's no life after death. The other one said there is resurrection, and so on. So don't conclude that the entire Christian faith believes in reincarnation, because there's no evidence of
I
that.
didn't say the
No,
entire.
no, I'm not
I said
faulting you. I'm not
I'm
faulting
just
you.
I'm going by what's on paper, and it's mostly Asian religions that believe it's their they are telling you outright that this is where they stand. Christianity, Islam, they don't outright come out and say we are outright, we are 100% behind reincarnation. They do it's a technicality, and it's always been like that. That's why it was easy back in the days for them to say, you Africans, throw away this, throw away that, and that's how you end up where you are today. That's how we all end up with, and we've done the picking and choosing. But I'm just pointing that out. So it's like everything in the Bible, we pick and choose. But Pastor
Um,
John Abba has left at the right time, as usual. So I know when he'll be back.
can I say something?
Yeah, Blessing, go ahead.
Um, if you checked most of the people on the panel that said they believe in reincarnation, you will notice that it's from personal experiences or from close experiences. Let me put it that way. So I do not think it's a matter of doctrine
Mm-hmm.
or religion. I think for me, it's it's the only way I can describe these things. It's the only way it makes sense. I tried to describe them via my religious beliefs. They didn't align. I tried to define them scientifically. They just got me more confused. So, and when I try to look at them through this mythical way, reincarnation, it just sort of made sense to me. So I just wanted to point out that for most people, when it comes to issues like this, it is not about their faith, it is not about their religion. It's a matter of personal conviction. And I think on a very on a scale, personal convictions trumps these beliefs most times if we are being
Yeah.
honest with ourselves.
Okay, well, if you say it's by personal conviction, then that's still digging more hole for yourself. Because if we are going by personal conviction, how do you back it up? Then you still go to a church and you're still going by
That is
another
the
faith.
point exactly. That is the
Oh,
point exactly. Nothing else explains it. That
yeah,
is the
that's so
whole point
you're
to it.
back at square one.
Okay,
Because when that person asked the question about purpose of life, that's why I said I'm stepping away, because I said it's you people that have the faith and all that. You
Yes.
people carry it, and you
No,
people have already gone
it's not
round in
a
circles.
question of faith. It's not going around in circle. Look at it this way. So something happens or something keeps happening. You look at it through the lens of science. Science does not explain it. You look at it through the lens of religion. Religion does not explain it. Then you come up by yourself with an explanation for it, and it fits into reincarnation.
Okay, hold on, Blessing.
I don't. That's a dangerous. That's a dangerous place you're going to, because
okay.
we have seen people. That's a dangerous place you're going to, my sister.
Okay,
Because
hold
there
on.
are people who've used that logic to do some very harmful things lately, and
Let me
you can't use that to explain.
Sonny, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Sonny.
Yeah, that's why I said part of the discussion, religion is, to me, is something one cannot define. Practically, like Blessed, her explanation is based on what she witnessed. And even the examples I gave here, because I can't say to be practically involved. Even if I am, let's assume my grandfather has a mark, just like what the pastor said. You know, most of the things that happen in his own home, and the things that marks that happens to be the birthmark of the father or the grandfather, the son came out with those details. Not just only it came out with those details, but yet the sister was informed that the man is reincarnating in the Abraham son, and it came to pass. Now, like I simplify my word, I only just believe in life because I'm human. But believing in most of these religious facts, I look at those things as something, because religion is about faith. Faith is not something you know. You believe in an assumption of such existence. Practically, like I rightly stated, I've seen things that were supposed to keep me abreast to believe that there is something like reincarnation. Okay? But for me to define it, explain it to a layman understanding, is something I still know that is beyond my understanding. Okay? So, in all, practically, not just what the doctrine of Christianity, because I was born into Christian family. As an adult, I have the mindset, a well-developed mindset, to believe on some things, not because I wish to, but because I happen to be a Christian. But I cannot move sheepishly. Even one of the things I know that are telling me is an ideology, which I can't simplify. I can't say yes, X, Y, Z is equals to this. So I can only say that I believe in what? Reincarnation, based on the facts I have seen, but I can't be able to define it properly. It's not a science where you can say X, Y, Z is this. Mathematically, it's not. But anybody can believe what I want to believe. But for me, I strongly believe in reincarnation because of experience, what I've seen around my own sister, around my own family, around my own sibling. Even the doctor there, damage, is part and parcel of a simplified information of what reincarnation is all about.
Okay,
I will still keep the secret until he rolls it out.
Yeah. Okay. So now people are saying that some of the things we mentioned here is things like physical resemblances that they could come from basic genetic connection, meaning that you are connected from somebody, you know. So if there are changes in or similarities in the structure, body, marks, it could be genetic. But from my own experience, it's not about looking like my grandfather. It's really about something deeper. It's not about doing things he did. It's about doing things he said I would do. That when he says, when I come back, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And those are some of the aspects where it becomes more complicated. Now, Alex, let me ask you about Blessing. I think you want to say something, but let me just go to Alex and find out something. If you follow the stories in the Bible for the Christians, Joshua, if I'm right, Joshua did not die. In the story, it was that he went up to heaven. Is that right?
I don't think so. I don't think that's the record for Joshua.
It was Elijah. It was Elijah that went
to heaven. Yes. And then that they said he reincarnated as Jesus. Some people believe that. because he didn't die.
There is something to say about Joshua and Jesus.
Okay.
By the way, I went along very well with what Blessings presented as her own viewpoint about incarnation. Now, the name Joshua was given to the one we call Joshua by Moses. His original name was Hosea, and Hosea means the deliverer, someone who comes to deliver. And he was assistant to Moses. He did a very good job, and Moses furthered his name into Yehoshua. And those names, the name Jesus is anglicized Greek for Yehoshua. So from Hosea to Yehoshua and then to Joshua, it's just name, but it reflected pretty much just the meaning that it had as someone that delivers. Now, if you look at the Bible very critically, you will see a repetition of events to prove a particular point that the Creator wanted the people to know. Take, for example, the attempt to sacrifice that Abraham tried with his son. It was an old practice where he left his people from when God called him out. And that sacrificing of his son to God was purposely allowed by God to get to a point where God now decided to make the point that it isn't right to sacrifice your son to me. But again, God himself, according to Christian belief, has brought his son into the world to become a sacrifice for our sin. But it was supposed to do a greater work than the ones that he stopped the human beings from doing. So the Bible does not clearly state that Joshua is that Jesus is the reincarnation of Joshua. No, but he performed a role amongst the Israelites that is more like a savior like him.
Okay, hold on. We'll come back to that. You mentioned so many things that are interesting. First of all, I don't know if you know that Tinsel Apart, in Tinsel Apart, Ikemefuna, Okonkwo's killing of Ikemefuna was derived from the story of Abraham, Abraham's attempt at killing his son, or sacrificing his son. But anyway, that's a distraction. But I wanted to mention that. You said it, and I wanted to mention that. Blessing, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say something about what White Label Podcast said about delving into a murky water of logic. No, reincarnation is not logic. For me, I am speaking personally. It's not logic. These are lived experiences. These are not just some people that are messed up in their head and trying to find reasons for their behavior or to give validation for things they want to do. It's like somebody telling you, I have been here before. He's not going crazy. If you ask him to name everything there, he will name it. He's not going crazy. He's not been there. And the person is telling you, I have been here before. It's not logic. You can't, that is what I'm saying. When you look, reincarnation for me is when you try to look at it through the lens of logic, science, religion, it will not make sense. It will only get you more confused. So just wanted to point out that for me it is not logic, and I'm not. I get where he's coming from. I'm not trying to go that way. I know there is a lot of quicksand with logic, so I'm not trying to go that way.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear, and maybe we can get a different.
Doctor, before you go forward, please can you click the book, the title of the book that I mentioned earlier?
Oh, where is it? I didn't.
I think it's way up. in the comment
Okay.
section about
Okay.
the book
All
about
right.
Confucius.
I'll find it. Abubakar Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doctor. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. We can hear you, but you can speak up a little bit more. That will help. So the question we have today is reincarnation. I don't know if there is any experience you have about reincarnation. What do you believe in? Do you believe in reincarnation or not?
Oh, well, my personal belief is different from the religion I was brought up under. So I was born probably a Muslim in Code Fulani. Then I'm trying to figure out whether you're talking about reincarnation, meaning somebody will die and then will come and live a second life. And then, depending on what he has done, he will get another chance to live another life, or just life after death. Once you die, then you will be resurrected to face the judgment. Which one are you
So
discussing
we're
here?
talking about somebody
Just
will die,
and then,
and then come back again to live a second life.
okay, yeah, there are stories of prophets performing magic. I mean, some kind of tricks to resurrect people. But in Islam too, there are stories like that. Prophets and some men of God praying upon somebody to be resurrected. But my personal belief is a bit different because I do not believe such a thing existed because it cannot be explained logically, and it is also to some extent contrary to what religion teaches us. So it means if I am doing terribly now, I will comfort myself with the fact that I will be reincarnated if I do certain things to enjoy life in the next time. And then if I'm doing well,
But
I
is
will be
that
terrified
not?
again.
So Ali, wait. Is that not what religion is telling us? That even if you die, you have opportunity to enjoy wherever you are going. Is that not?
Yes, that is why I say my personal belief is different from what religion teaches. It's a bit, there is a, somebody said it is called fate. Is it blessing that says logic cannot explain it? Yeah, logic cannot explain it. Because once you try to think about it logically, you find out there are a lot of contradiction there. Then cognitive dissonance, things like that. Because I think maybe human beings evolve to believe in stories like that and then find a way of dealing with the contradiction. But if you look at it purely from scientific and logical perspective, it really doesn't make sense. Let me give you an example. Let's say I knew Dr. Damages from when I was young, and he has been a very, very good man, very, very good man by all standard imaginable. And then he just happened to be a Christian and I'm a Muslim. So I will live with the contradiction that, hey, Islam teaches that you will go to heaven if you are good, but only if you profess to be a Muslim. That is the yardstick. So no matter how good you are, you will go to hell. This thing is just sounding like it doesn't make sense. So also the Christians too. You have to believe that Jesus died for your sin, no matter how good you are before you go to heaven. So it's a bit, it's creating a little confusion. And then just like what do you call him, Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens are saying, religion is about faith, and faith is believing something without evidence. You cannot bring an evidence that this person is dead now, he is resurrected, and then it can be proven scientifically. It is very, very difficult. But I say humans evolve to believe in this kind of stories, no matter how contrary they are. Because I read a book from what do you call him, an Israeli historian, Yuval Noah Harari, Homo Deus. He said the reason human being dominated the world is because of our ability to believe in nonsense and stories like this, because it creates unity and cooperation, and that will help us to build things. It's not because of our size of the size of our brain. It's because we are able to believe this kind of stories. And yeah, so I don't have to. I will just assume once I see somebody's name John, I will just assume he's a Christian. If I'm a Christian, so it will be I will cooperate more with him because presumably I share more in common with him. Even if there is something that he's not doing the way I would like it to do, but I would still feel I'm more comfortable cooperating with him to do certain nonsense things, even killing people like the Crusaders and the Islamic wars that have been happening. Well,
Okay,
this is
hold
my
on.
personal belief, though, not
Yeah.
not from the religion perspective.
Okay, Abubakar, hold on. Let me hear. Alex, I know you want to say something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I remember now that in the Bible, there is Bible students have gone as far as having an opinion that reflects reincarnation, and that is who John the Baptist turned out to be. He is, by one school of understanding of that whole subject, John the Baptist is seen to have come as Elijah.
Oh yeah, I think that was a mistake. I was mixing it up. Yeah, John the
Yes.
Baptist. Yeah.
Okay. So you can't even say that it's only a few who have come to that conclusion. I have a pastor friend who believes that because he researched all the connected verses in the Bible and came up with that kind of belief. Now, this thing we are discussing is a kind of is a forum we have created here. It is not for us to believe what somebody else has said, but at the same time, it's not for us to make rubbish of whatever the person has decided or that the person is presenting. I think we should just give people the chance to say what they know or what they think or what they have experienced, and we take it or we leave it. But it doesn't require any kind of adjective to start, discouraging or criticizing whatever that person has believed.
Of course. The point is that this conversation has been going on for more than 800 years. We are not going to finish it today. We are not going to find the solution.
Yeah.
And another 200 years, some people will still be discussing it. So, but the perspective I want us to always think about is that in our own time, we have to contribute to whatever conversation is going on. That's one. Secondly, we have to also think about what happened to us before the Europeans came, before the Arabs came. What happened to us? What were we as Black people? Sometimes we don't think about ourselves as one entity, Black people. Before we got introduced to the world, what were we? And what our forefathers, the knowledge they had, we junk everything because of what is. Why this is important, and I think, is that when you look at Europeans, for instance, or the Americans, who we try to copy now, they are at a point where they are turning back from whatever because even the Europeans were not the original Christians. They were not the people that they were not it was from the Middle East. Islam too wasn't the European thing, and some European countries are becoming Islamic countries to some extent. But the point is that they are the point where they are turning back. They are back on the same thing, the church that they brought to us, and then they can't find what to go back to because they've forgotten. They've forgotten what they used to do before Christianity came to them. So the question is, are we going to be in that position 200 years from now, 300 years from now? Are we going to be in a position where we feel like, okay, this Islam thing is not working, this Christian thing is not working? Then we think, what are our forefathers, what were they doing? We don't know. We don't know.
Well, if you want to avoid being in that position, then you should not stop people from asking questions when you're having discussions like this. Because when you stop people from asking questions, then it means your belief or whatever you are going by has K-legs that you're not ready to face. That is why you people don't like people like me in your face.
Yeah.
Because we ask you the questions that you don't like, you are not ready to deal with. You just want to march ahead.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you don't mind me cutting in, sorry,
And
Dr. Damages, I just saw this encyclopedia that has examples of. I should type it actually. I will type the website so that people can see examples of reincarnations from different African
before
tribes.
that, can I? Before that, can I
Just hold on,
answer?
Abubakar. These are examples of different reincarnations from different African tribes, and it's dominated by Igbos. It's across Africa, but it's dominated by Igbos. And there's examples from Igbo, Ga in Ghana, Yoruba, Kalenjin in Kenya. That's where I've gotten up to. It's from the Sci Encyclopedia .sprac.uk. When I first typed reincarnation in Africa, the first thing that came up on Google was the Igbo concept of reincarnation includes the belief in a group of, hey, madam, why every time I'm talking, you must come here? The belief in a group of souls called Obanje who are born, die early in life, and are reborn in the same family, often repeatedly. That is from med.virginia.edu. Interestingly, I never heard anyone say something like that. I have examples too. When you say it's personally, I never use my own personal examples because if we go by the birthmark and all that, I saw that on my mom, I saw that on my aunts, and I've heard. That's why I've mentioned one thing at the beginning. I heard families say certain things, and when people say personal and all that, I have families from different tribes, and I have families. I know people from other tribes of Nigeria. I travel around Nigeria too, so I saw things. But I will post the website so people can go see the examples too from other African tribes and the Igbo examples because I thought they were interesting to read. That's what I've been reading.
Okay, thank you so much. Ali, I'll come to you, but let me hear from Gabriel. Has not said anything recently. Blessing wanted to say something. Gabriel, now you mentioned that. Let me make sure I'm correct. That you are an atheist. Is it true?
No, Ekist.
Ekist. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay,
yeah.
All right. So, but do you have any other insight into reincarnation other than?
Okay. I had a roommate when I was serving. He is a Christian, and sometimes we just engage in conversations like this, and he will tell me that the Bible is written, is appointed to a man to die once, and after death comes judgment, something like that. So, but he didn't know when he told me of his cousin who traveled to, he was serving in one of the northern states, and the guy never came back. And the story was that he was beaten and killed by some religious fanatics. So eventually, somebody gave birth in their family, and the newborn baby had stripes on his back, like marks of machetes and cane. So I was not asking him, have you gotten your explanation? If you have something so vivid like this, so how are you still bent on there is no reincarnation? So for me, even if you believe in or you are practicing a certain faith, there comes a time when you just have to be sincere to yourself, just like Blessing said, and be critical with the things you do. Or you just want to swallow everything hook, line, and sinker. But if you are a conscious spiritual being, you just have to ask yourself certain questions. Why are things happening like this? Even if you have to be different from the food, it's your personal experience, and you just have to be with it. Because secondly, I think I had it while we are growing up. One of my mates gave birth to a boy, out of will I say youthful exuberance, the normal things guys do while growing up. Mistakenly got a girl pregnant, and the person gave birth to that boy. And when that boy was growing up, I think at the age of 2, 3, he called the aunt of that guy by the name that some other person who has died normally called that woman. The boy refused to be calling her mama or any kind of respectful name. He calls her by that local name, maybe Obiageri or something, and the woman was shocked. Who told you of this? You are still 2-3 years. How come you know of this name? So these are the things that are, for me, I would say yes, there's reincarnation. But somebody will say, if there is reincarnation, that means there is a definite number of people. We shouldn't be increasing by population. And I'll tell you, do you know the population of the lost continent? Or you don't know about it? The people who have existed, do you know their population? So I believe people come back to learn, and you will say it's an unending journey. No, it's not an unending journey. In my own part, I believe that when there comes the time for you not to come back again, you can decide for yourself not to come back again. Then you'll be conscious of the things you do so that you can balance the account. That's my take.
All right, very good. Blessing, you wanted to say something?
I think I saw a question in the comment section. Somebody was asking, reincarnation, is it one soul coming back to lead different lives, or different people coming back through one soul? I was going to take that question to bring in the Ogbanje subject before White Label mentioned it. So yes, when I spoke initially, I did mention that for me, topics like this, I like to use my own experience, because people experience vary. You cannot really, this matter, you get as e be. You get as e be. You no get head, as in you no get one leg where you stand on top. So if you dey talk and you guys they talk the one way you sabi, one way you know. Me know for cap anyhow. So I used so sorry. I'm in darkness now.
All
Let me
right.
just say this and run off.
You're in Nigeria?
Yeah, she's in Nigeria.
Oh.
Unfortunately, this is not the Nigerian thing. Vandals vandalized the transformer, so
And that's part of
yeah.
Nigeria.
Sorry, it's a Nigerian thing, but it's not NEPA this time around. Vandals vandalized it. So we used to have lights a lot. So I was saying that
Okay, go ahead. I wanted to say we can confidently blame it on Buhari,
yeah. Anyway, so when I spoke earlier, I said I'll use my personal experience, but if I'm going to, I want to talk a bit about that question, and if I'm going to answer that question, I'm going to deviate a bit from my own personal experience and use other people who are close to me, their experience, and that is if it is one soul coming back to live different lives, several other lives. And yes, there is no clear cut template for reincarnation, I think, because aside from my own personal experience, from the one people here have said, it is quite clear that our experiences are different. And the Obanje aspect of reincarnation is always dicey, because I still have my doubts. I
No,
do not.
I will explain the Obanje thing to Ralph. I'm waiting for him to come back. I will explain that.
I still have my doubts about Obanje. The reason is simple. Our forefathers do not have the privilege of certain medical tests that we do now. So a child dying repeated, a couple giving birth to a child that dies repeatedly could be medically explained if it was in today's world, but then it could not be explained. The infant mortality was high then, so it was possible that they kept doing something wrong, that and the child would keep dying, and they would keep doing the same thing wrong again without knowing.
Blessing has been explained. The Obanjo Abiku is simply sickle cell disease that is in the family. So that's what is happening, and when they die, they come back. That's the assumption that they had then. But let's hear from. I know AB has just joined us, and Abubakar wanted to say something. I'll come back to. I'll come to you, AB, in a moment. Abubakar, go ahead.
Oh God, am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yes. It's about stopping people from asking questions because they may not like it and using certain adjectives. Yes, and that's always the conflict that we created. If you say you believe certain things, especially if you want to pass it on to others to convince others that actually it existed. But once that person keeps on asking difficult questions, you feel like it is, yeah, he's been aggressive, even though that is how it works. And I know about what Indians believe. At least probably that may make a little sense. That is, if a person dies, he will reincarnate, but not as a human being, probably as a cow, as a snake, as a dog, whatever, depending on what he has done. So maybe in that sense, but if you look at the number of human beings that walks the earth from time immemorial, if reincarnation is happening, then the earth will definitely not contain us now. And yeah, somebody was saying it's not dancing in cycle. It means the same. You die, you reincarnate, you was born, you die, reincarnate, you born in cycle. And when you decide it is over, you will not be born again. I mean, that too can be cannot be explained logically because none of us here is consulted before you are born, unless you believe in certain spiritual aspect that says from a book that somebody has written or somebody believed. And if you believe is your own personal conviction, yes, you believe it is okay, but you cannot prove it to that party. And someone is saying in the olden days, people die and reincarnate. There are a lot of examples. But why did it suddenly stop in the age of cameras and CCTVs and science? It has suddenly stopped happening. All the miracles and the reincarnation, too, unless it is staged, actually staged in like a theatrics. But it is good that we believe things like that, probably, because it is very hard to stand out. In my own area where I am now, it is even very difficult for me to talk about these things because yes, because I'm in the northeastern part of Nigeria where Boko Haram is prominent and Islamic fanatics are plenty. So talking about these things or even asking a difficult question that they don't want, they will start labeling you as a Westerner, as an atheist, as a philosopher. If care is not taken, people will boycott you, and they may even say you are going crazy and you'll be sent to psychiatric. But it is a very good thing that we are discussing these things intellectually to see where it makes sense and how it makes sense. Another thing is that no matter how hard you try, it's always boiled down to my religion or my God. Whatever you can believe in, say you can always give reference to either your personal conviction, what you heard from somebody without proof, and what your religion has said, which is mostly conveniently a religion you were born into, not a religion you were convinced to believe in. Most of us, we are born Christian, Muslim. We are not convinced by the other faith to join. So reincarnation, why does it happen? Okay, it is God that did it. Which God? Then you learn on your own God. How do you know? Because I know. Why? How can you prove it? It cannot be proven. But I think since we believe all these things like that, sorry for using the word nonsense things. It is not my word. I borrowed it from Yuval Noah Harari, who said it is our ability to believe in stuff like this that makes us unite and dominate the world as it
Yeah.
is now.
Okay, Abubakar,
Thank you.
thank you. I just want to mention that the cockroaches are coming. They are beginning to come together to believe their own thing. So they might take over the world very soon. Ebi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Bamiji. I'm really enjoying it. I was hesitant to join earlier, but I'm just like, okay, these are the kind of topics that I like. I'm not
particularly interested directly in the incarnation. It's just one of so many things that we're talking about. And Abubakar Aliu, Sonofa, I really respect you from, seeing how you have what I would put as transform yourself out of the barrage of consuming deep beliefs that have encompassed our nation, that a few of us jump out of the ocean to shoot our head up. Um, I'm also like you. I was born into Christianity. In fact, in the university, I was Bible study secretary and all that. But I will say here for the first time publicly that I've abandoned religion. You know, um, talking about incarnation, I'm a Yoruba man back home. I've heard stories very similar to Blessing, very similar to every other person here, Sonny and even Gabriel. Uh, People coming back, it's usually great grandparents, replicating themselves, and we see some characters and words and some deeper things that you don't expect of a child who coincidentally look like that the grandmother or grandfather come back having the same marks and all that. And I've also read, just like White Label quoted, that is true, is well researched, that there were findings around West Africa dominantly, and of course the rest of Africa, that things coming back and all that. So, but again, I agree with White Label. Are we able to explain this? And this is where I don't agree again with religion, especially Christianity. We tend to say things emphatically because of one particular book, which is not, which we cannot even explain how most of the stories came about, which research is showing some part of the story appearing in some other myths, like Mesopotamian myth and Sumerian texts, and all sorts of scrolls everywhere. We are finding out that between Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2, there is over 100, 200 years. So I'm worried about using this particular book to now try to serially explain things that they correlate like that. Because when you start digging the rabbit hole, even the definition of Elohim, we now know what it means, but I know what I was interpreting it to be. So there's a lot of things we don't know, and that is who we are. I think the realm we are operating as Homo sapiens has some limitations. Let me stop at that for now.
Very good. I like that. We have to accept our limitations, and that's what worries me too with religion. It appears that sometimes we don't accept their limitations to what we know and what we believe, especially at this time. And the good news is that in the scientific world, things are moving fast. We're going exploring other places, and other things are happening that eventually, I believe, may not be in our lifetime, but probably down the road there will be new perspective to some of these questions. There might be a different dimension that we don't know that is in existence. There may be so many things we don't know. And my fear is that 200 years from now, 2,000 years from now, people that will be here might look at us and call our period as the dark ages. They might be looking at what we did and be like, what is wrong with them? How could they not see this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what Eddie said, you're talking about scientific world, and it seems like the scientific world is drifting away from religion after every decade. Most of the scientists, probably you see the rise of atheism is rising much faster than the way it is rising here in Africa, in developed world, in scientific world. It is rising. People are living the faith, or they are considering their limitations. If you say this because of Bible, they will say I believe in Bible, I go to church, but this is not it scientifically. Maybe in the next 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we will find a way of correlating between this, reconciling the contradiction. But if you look at the figures, the scientific world is moving toward atheism, not religion. Islam happens to be the fastest
Okay,
growing religion.
okay. Let me say something quickly, if you don't mind. After Alex.
That's that statement that I'm a scientist in my field. Rudolph knows what I have done. I'm even someone who has found something out, but my company had to keep it to themselves. What we are doing as scientists is using what God has created, which we found out, to do what we are now achieving. If you think science is moving away from believing in a supreme being, whatever name we want to give to it, then that's not true. Because I am in the science world. I do even researches and things that come my way. I know where we are moving. But if you are not there, you would think that science is disproving the Bible or spiritual things. Concepts are closer to spiritual realm than the physical things that we touch and work with. Concepts by themselves, if you think about it, it's an abstract. It's not something you can touch. But once it starts being put into the physical form, then we begin to see that, oh, so this kind of thing is possible. There are people who have gone far in it. So let's not rule out things that maybe later on we will find out and say, oh, I was moving away from it. Today, as we speak, I was watching 10 of the most unbelievable things that they said happened, like seeing a UFO and things like that. But there was one particular one that they showed. A girl was involved in a motor accident, a little girl, about maybe 12 years old. She was crushed at a particular spot, along the road. And there's this bush, you know how it is here in America. So some scientists were working on that forest, trying to catch the movement of animals at night. They set their cameras all over the place. Lo and behold, their camera caught what they now refer to as a ghost. And that ghost represented the very appearance of that girl when she died. Now, don't ask me if that is real or not, but people are reporting these things. They're not saying, okay, we don't believe in all these superstition or mysteries, so let's not report this. You could see the picture in that negative looking portion. It's one of those things that we can't explain everything. There are things that are being seen in the ocean now that we never knew existed. Human beings will always be limited to knowledge. What we know is not even 1/10 of what is to be known about our life here. And people come and go without those things coming out. So unless you want to limit yourself, everyone is welcome, but we are mortals.
Okay, thank you. Ralph.
Well, first question, what is wrong with being an atheist? Because all the crazy people I know in this world, all the bad people I know, they all have religions. So yeah, what is exactly is wrong with being an atheist? Because I don't get it. But crazy thing is that Islam at one point in time had loads of philosophers who gave us algebra. They gave us a whole bunch of scientific development. And then today you have a lot of fanatics who are telling you women should be locked up, cutting people's heads off, and you are saying you are worried about people becoming atheists. Why would somebody see your people's heads being cut off? You are seeing your pastors becoming wealthier. You are seeing your religious leader abusing everything, and you are like, why would you quit and go and why don't you go your own way? Well, if the religion exists for you to become an atheist, that's just it for many people. So your religion is proof for why you should be an atheist. That's one thing I would just say. But the main thing I wanted to say is something that I just saw. Reincarnation is a mainstream teaching in Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism, but fewer than half of Indians in each of these groups said they believe in reincarnation. For example, 40% of India's Hindus, which is the majority religion by a large mile in India, believe in reincarnation. That is June 29th, 2021, according to the Pew Research organization. I just wanted to read that fact out so we don't assume that it's all Indians that believe in reincarnation, by the way. Just want to drop that out.
Okay, thank you. Janaba.
Yeah, doctor.
Yeah. Do you are you checking, or are you beginning to find out if you are an incarnate of somebody else?
I don't know. I just there are many things you don't know in this life, and wherever you know, that's where the level of your knowledge, that's where you stop. So there are so many things I try to know about life, about myself, whether I'm my grandfather that came back, I don't know.
Now, but how do you treat your son? You said that your son, you say your son is resembles your father. How do you treat him? Do you see him as just like any other child, or something different?
No, I see him like any other child.
Wow.
I don't give him a special attention because of that.
Okay, I just wanted to say that my father was calling me his dad. My father was not calling me my name. He said my father. He was calling me my father. So it's
when your memo come out, I try to look at it.
Yeah, you see it. All right, Alex is saying something. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a cousin who is said to be our great grandfather. I don't know if because they started telling him, first of all, his name reflected our great granddad, and he became someone as we grew up who treated members of the larger family, and my cousins and everybody, like a father. He's still today having that role in the family. Then my wife is somebody born, and they said she is their grandmother. Every cousin of ours, all their people, they give her that respect. And she took it upon herself to be seen about their well-being, their happiness. She does not discriminate. She tries to treat them like her children. What I'm wondering about in that case is, because of the name they called the person, maybe that molded them into taking that kind of mind to relate to the family. I don't know. I was told that I had Obanje, but there's no way for me to know whether it's true or not. I know they did something in my palm as I was a baby. Of course, my dad was working in the government at that time, and I was in the village. I was born in Enugu anyway. And then my father did not like that at all. He scolded my mom for allowing them to do that kind of thing and in that belief. So there was that, push and pull, belief or not belief in it. Well, whether it is true or not, I have no way of proving them. But I've seen things that reflect on people believing that there's reincarnation. I believe there are mysteries. There are things we will hardly ever know completely. But how it is, I don't know.
All right. So thank you, Alexi. Let's see. I know I see Bob Marley's incarnate here, but let's see. Forefathers is here too. So everything is set. We have the forefathers. We have Bob Marley reincarnate. Okay, forefathers, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and greetings to everyone there. Yeah, it's about reincarnation, huh?
Yeah. We abandoned the political aspect. We talk about that Saturday. Now we are talking. Yeah,
I see.
Maybe that's where our problem start. We have to. Maybe that's where we have to start to solve this issue. We are touching it from the least.
Yeah, reincarnation is a tricky one because there is anecdotal evidence, people talking about things that seem coincidental. we don't know, and there is no clear-cut evidence of anything related to that yet that we know of. Most of these things, I think, because life is so complicated and so many variations are out there, that sometimes when we stumble across things that seem familiar, we just, people win lottery, and how many, what are the odds of winning lottery? And if you can win lottery, what are the odds that you are not going to have situation whereby somebody comes back, seems so familiar, and you feel like, okay, maybe that person is reincarnated because there's so much similarities. That could be an explanation, just coincidence. There are sometimes even people that come into this world and they look exactly like some other person. The odds of that happening genetically from a totally different branch is relatively slim, but yet it does happen. And because I feel like, because there was this guy that was using some mathematics to calculate odds of events occurring in the world, and he did quite a lot of, except he was doing some trick. He did quite a lot of calculations that you can
Is it
basically
Michael
use
Chama?
it. Yeah. It seems like
Michael Chama.
it seems like voodoo, but it's real, and he actually predicted events that are going to occur based on the natural laws of the this thing from physics anyway. So some of all these things, and that stuff is very, very important, because I think sometimes these things, they just show it to people and nobody pays attention to it, even if it's very, very important. Because if somebody can predict the odds of someone winning lottery, predict the odds of somebody winning a horse race and stuff like that based on statistics, it's like somebody telling you that, okay, every year there is always a crash from an airline, and you're about to take that airline in December. You have to narrow your odds to not every year. You're going to narrow it to that month, because the year there has not been a crash. So because the results, what it's telling you is that there is something about life that is fundamentally written already, and maybe we don't just understand it yet. That is the reason why we try to make sense of everything we see, because most of the stuff we see, we just make sense. Even Isaac Newton, when he discovered the laws of gravity, he just basically made sense of it until Albert Einstein came and did something else too. So we are all peeling the onion bit by bit. Whether it's an infinite onion, we don't know. And
But forefathers, okay, did we amongst we are talking now, and I don't think we have done serious studies of these things. That's what one of the things I hope we can take out of this. Unlike other people in other parts of the world, they do, when they have a phenomenon, they have something that bothers, something they don't understand, they try to find out. But our own, it seems as if we just write it off and nobody cares, and we move on and think that we are going to develop, basically. So that's one reason why we bring these subjects out for conversation.
I think part
Yeah,
of the
I was
problem
also
for
about to
us is
say
that,
part of. Yeah, I was
go
also
ahead.
just one statement. I was also about to say is that we have a lot of things that are either that are yet to be proven scientifically, and it is very difficult to prove certain things. Maybe I think that is why we are also believing things without bothering to actually put it to test or investigate. Because in a day, I will hear about 4 or 5 things that cannot be proven. I say I will devote my energy to discovering each and every one of it. It will be exhausting. I will not have time to do other things. So I will just be comfortable and believe somebody. He says he's a scientist. He did it. Okay, I don't have to investigate. Let me just believe whatever he said. He's a pastor. He said it. Okay, maybe it is true. He has more knowledge in Bible than he said it's from the Quran. Okay, maybe I should believe it. But if I say, okay, I will have to find out all these things, whether it is true, investigate this, investigate that, my life will be over. I will not live life, and then
Yeah,
it
you
will just
pick
be over.
one. You
Yes,
don't
now.
have to do all of them now. Of course, you can't.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. So you have
Yeah.
to pick one. That is it.
But
And
if
then we
all of
deal
us
with the
here
contradictions.
we pick one,
Deal
then Africa
and
will
deal with
go.
the contradictions.
Yeah. All right. Let me hear from Toby. Or he may be the Bob Marley that came back. We don't know. Toby Nation, Ovia, welcome to the show.
Good evening, y'all.
Yeah.
we are talking about reincarnation. I try to, make sense of it from my language because anything I know fit talk from my language, they exist. So I try to know what incarnation is in my native language, but I'm still struggling. It has never come to mind. But I think this, contrary to popular belief, we are not that important. I mean, when I mean we humans, we are not that important. We are not different from every other animal on the street, on the bush, as far as I'm concerned. The only major difference is that we humans, we can come together and reason and build something out of it. That's the only major difference between us and every other animal out there. So if the goat when you kill chop last Christmas no come back, what's the belief that you will come back? What's the probability that you come back?
You know if the goat came back, how will you know? Are you in there? How will you know if the goat came back?
If I don't know, you don't know, it doesn't exist.
Now, Abubakar told us that why we are better than other animals is that they are not coming together. But rats in New York City.
I think that's what I just said. I believe we also come together and reason. There's a major difference between us and every other animal.
Yeah, let me make it clear. Human beings come together and reason and cooperate to do things. That is why we dominate the earth. We come in large groups and large numbers. Rats can only cooperate with maximum maybe 100 or 150. So cockroaches and other animals that cooperate to do things.
So how about
I don't even know that you even said that. I didn't even know that you said that because I wasn't listening.
Oh yeah. And then yes, you have not joined when I was saying our brain plus our ability to believe in story and cooperate in large numbers makes it possible for us to dominate the world. Because I may not know, I don't know any, I do not know all Nigerians. But once I know you are a Nigerian and we are asked to do something as Nigerian, I will help you. Okay, you pay tax from Lagos, and then the money will be used for the betterment of society in other part of Nigeria, and you believe it, you like it because you are helping. So we cooperate in large numbers, and animals don't do that. So our big brain plus our ability to believe nonsense and cooperate and do things makes us dominate the world. Because if you say you can explain the Inquisition, the Crusade, all the wars fought by the religion and the Muslims for power, for political influence, you'll find out that they use certain things to justify nonsense. God wills it. If he is in the position of power, you cannot question that person's authority. Maybe after the damage has been done later, maybe 10, 20 or a century after, you look back and say, hey, that man, that person in authority, what he says to justify this thing is actually wrong. And then people are using Bible and Quran to justify slavery too, the olden days. And then if you look at it now, you find why will this spiritual book justify these things? And then as at that time, people believe it 100%, and that is why they carry it out. So if you try to be different, you will get yourself into trouble. So as history suggested.
Aliu, thank you for taking my spot.
Go ahead, Ovie, go ahead. No, we mentioned him. That's why. Go ahead, Ovie.
Yeah, so the reincarnation of a thing, I don't believe. I mean, as I said, if the animals out there are not coming back, what believes that we attach so much importance to we human, and I understand that now there's every need for us to glorify ourselves, but we are not that important. We come, we go, and that's it. And people will say, oh, you believe in God and all that. When I come this world, nobody explained to me, this is where I'm coming. I just find myself here, and I'm learning to figure it out. So if I don't die, anywhere I find myself, I'll figure it out. If I find myself anywhere at all. So that's how I see it. And the issue of Bible and all those religious books and all that, I read them like every other book. To me, I think one of the most important books so far is still the Sapiens. The brief history of human being. When you read that, you will say, okay, yes, this is real.
Yeah, I told Dr. Damages about it. Yeah, it is a book by Yuval Noah Harari. About people cooperating to do things. And then another thing is that people that believe in reincarnation, they are so worried. If you are not worried that you did not exist 100 years ago, Why will you be worried because you will not exist 100 years to come again?
So billions have come and gone. We will go to another billions will come after us and go. So, and in fact, 200 years from now, people will be arguing that we've never existed, that will never come this world. 200 years from now, they go to argue, say there's nothing like Dr. Dameji.
No, about that existence. You're saying human beings, we are not. We are not that important as human beings. If you look at the solar system entirely, we are just a tiny fraction of the solar system. Yes, living in a remote, tiny object.
You know that,
and we cannot prove whether life exists on those other planets.
You know that an ant can live in a plane for its whole life, and wouldn't know that it's in a plane, and wouldn't know that the plane is actually on top of a country called America, and the America is part of a bigger, So Eddie, go ahead.
Oh, so things that we don't understand, we call them mystery.
Hey, Ovie, you want to take my spot?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, my time not pass. I don't know. Guy, I knew. Wallahi,
I got the bell.
Ba abun zaka yi ma Aliyu. Kaji Ovie.
Guy, see, Nigeria is plenty for you. Abba. Wait, you can get that. That's the Nigerian language. Rudolph, you are not Nigerian yet, don't you speak that language?
Kajiko.
Oh, outside.
Mr. Alex, I'm not smiling, Mr. Alex. Are you not Nigerian?
I wanted to add that I have a brother who was born when my grandfather passed, and a Yoruba uncle of ours gave him the name Babatunde, and that's the name he carries till today. He's a lawyer in Abuja. So these things are across different belief groups.
Yep.
But my dad took that name from him for that brother of mine, and that's who he is today, because we were made to believe that my grandfather has come back into the family.
Okay, let's hear from Abby. He's trying to say something. People keep cutting him off. Go ahead, Abby.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I'm enjoying myself, really. Mr. Lexi, I mean, you said someone was born and then a Yoruba friend gave him Babatunde. That doesn't really take us far. It doesn't really explain some things.
No, but I'm saying people and belief and what they do with it, I mean, my father could have said no. He could have said no. We would not name him like that. But when he came up, it was accepted.
Yeah, I mean, I think as humans, we have the tendency to, just like magnet, to believe something, and some of the beliefs have metamorphosized into religion. And then we need to make some very thin line distinction here. I have been involved in trying to decipher meanings of them. There's a thin line between belief system and, in fact, religious system. So we should get that. As human beings, we all believe. I believe that I'm going to pass my next exam. It's a belief, right? Where it becomes religion is when you now transform that belief, package it, and start trying to sell it in order for conversion into that. But of course, indirectly as well, you can express some of your personal experiences and someone else believe in it, but you don't go next step to try to begin to bring those. It is when religion came that, in fact, I mean, if I put to you here that one of the most heinous crimes in terms of murder, killings that have happened on our planet were, constituted or done in the name of religion. Maybe many of us do not even know here that the most heinous crimes in terms of killing levels of Boko Haram that have been committed, were cumulatively committed by religion. I mean, I heard was it Blessing talk about? I think it was Abubakar talk about how some of the books of these beliefs try to justify slavery. Obey your father. I mean, slaves obey your masters.
Masters.
How even in the Bible it describes how you should beat them, how if they come back you should not do this, and all those things. And then you wonder, this same belief system talked about a loving God that created all of us. In this same book, you find that same loving God sending his only begotten son. And when he sent it to a locality and called those people his people. How about the rest of us? And then you find in this same book, you find a creation story, and the first few children that were born, one hammered the other one forehead, and then he walked Wakago, another village, suddenly he's getting married. Who are those people? There are so many things, so many convoluted things, and I think this is where I resolve to, that as humans or Homo sapiens, we do have implants of a piece of what are, for lack of any word, what I would call God in us. I see that religion try to personify God as somebody, and that's why when they pray, you have to go to a particular place, you have to call some names to directly. I don't see that anymore. I believe, as I'm sitting here to you right now, I have a constant connectivity with the source of the universe.
Have a
And that is belief,
Yeah, that's the religion of its own. That's religion right there.
Definitely, my
No,
brother.
it's not. It's not. You see, because I know that somebody is going to call. No, it's not. No, you see now,
Any
you need to go and learn the difference between belief system
Religion,
and
spirituality,
religion.
religion and spiritual. Yeah, religion and
Okay,
spirituality.
I believe that the two biggest political parties in the world are Muslim religion and Christian religion. They are all party to me.
My brother,
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
my brother, I think we are coming back to the same belief that religion is the opium of deceit. That's what my analysis of what religion is all about. And yes, we believe in God on assumption, but then my communication to God is my personal relationship. The way I feel about life matters much than what people put up in a paper and convince me to believe in it, and start giving me stories that cannot be simplified. And I continue to say,
Sonny, let me add to that, Sonny, that especially when the collection of books that they are giving to us, we are now finding thousands of years other scripts that where it was plagiarized.
Of course,
These are very good stories, but we are finding. But we were told that this thing, somebody will stand on the pillar and it was inspired to them. And we were told that God is by the description of the God of the Bible is unchanging God or whatever. And in the same book that we should hold sacred, he changed his mind several times on issues.
Okay, hold on, guys. The
Hello?
Okija people, they have their own story has not been written. That's why we are following the one of the Jews. So let's go to Okija and Okija. Welcome to the show.
Guys.
Inspiration today, Okija.
I don't know. The thing is, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Good evening, all. The thing is, man thinks that he knows everything. There are certain things we don't know, like about let me say 800 years ago, if someone saw someone talking, put like a piece of something on his mouth and his ear and talking to someone, they would think that person is crazy. Like 800 years ago, they would be like, something is wrong with this person. There are some things we don't understand. Science, science, it doesn't have all the answer.
No.
But right now, even in the term in science, even in psychology, they have a branch called parapsychology, where they go, beneath, like the orthodox psychology you see, or science. They think about, mental things people like, people here, people think about, dreams and things like that. When they say like miracle happen, some people they don't believe that miracle happen. But let me, in my religion, in my culture, Igbo, we believe in reincarnation. But first of all, I don't know, my fathers, they don't understand this way, but I don't know, human being, we are conscious because of our, like we have spirit. It's just like a light bulb, the body, the body of the light bulb, then the current is like the spirit, and then when the soul, when the light comes on, that's the soul, and the soul can go and the body can disintegrate, but the current stays. The spirit, where does the spirit go? If the spirit leaves, where does the spirit, what happens? This thing, if you study, like even in the Bible, when what's his name, Solomon, he was talking about the body, like when before someone dies, it was said there was a silver cord, that detaches, and then the spirit goes and the body lies there. So we believe that in my culture, we believe that there's spirit. Even in science, believe that there's spirit. But that's what makes human conscious. If that spirit goes, where does it go to? So in my culture, we believe that people come back, and there have been people, I know, even one of my brother, they said that it was my maternal grandfather, and because they see some of the attributes of the the way the man behaved. They say my brother. They said, "Oh, no, that's him." And there are some people, they go to and do like they go to people divinators, they do something or whatever. They say that this person came back. But this thing is not limited to Igbo culture or Igbo people. Even in the Bible, like when you read Jesus through transfiguration. No, before the transfiguration, he was asking them, "Who do you think I am?" Some people some were saying like Moses, some say Elijah. But one of the things, these two things, these two people. Why have you? People never asked why they, talked about these two people, Moses and Elijah. Elijah, because first of all, Moses, they didn't see his body, so it's possible that Moses, departed without dying. Elijah left. Elisha was working with Elijah, and Elijah was, transfigured. He left. He went into the air and disappeared. And the Jewish.
How about Ezekiel?
So
how about Ezekiel? Did Ezekiel disappear too?
Oh, Garudov, you do it, Joro. You only allow me to talk for 30 seconds.
I'm talking about these people. So do transfiguration. Do transfiguration. Moses and Elijah came, and the Peter, they saw them. This is their own version, what they said. But again, in America today, I don't know if UVA, I think University of Virginia, medical school, they did a research actually. They presented in a seminar whereby they talk about reincarnation in America. This is a true story. There was this guy that died during the Second World War. He died in Japan, Iwo Jima. He flew a plane in Iwo Jima on USS, I think Natoma or something like that. A small boy, one boy who was born, about 20 years old. He started saying, 20 months old. Before 20 months, he started saying that his plane crashed inside the ocean. I will send you guys, this. I'm not talking about QAnon. I'm talking about researchers, people like medical people. And they were talking about, that his plane crashed. Eventually, after a series of events, and they found out actually that the man died, that the person, they compared notes. I will send you, it will blow your mind. Actually, that somebody died. One person on that ship, his plane flew into the water, and it was according to the way this guy described, and he was just about less than three years before he said all these things, and they confirmed.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Hold on, can I hold on? Ovie said I didn't give him enough time, and you're taking so much time. But okay, we'll come back to you. Ovie, you don't have any examples. You don't believe in what do you have to say? Go ahead.
Right, and I pride myself as a traditionalist. All this one where they say Bible say. Bible now the story of kings, queens, and princess of Jew. This is not me saying that. This is no Harari, who is a Jewish scholar, saying all this. So I don't know when people are talking about when somebody is making an argument refer to Bible, you just throw me off entirely. The word existed before the right the Bible comes into play. When you go back to the days of altar and gatherings, how did they live? How did they exist? That is where the spirituality that we are talking about came from, because that then they don't get work, they just move from one level to another to just find where they go eat, and they sit down. What they do is to think deeply and reason together. This is where all this spirituality they come from. Bible not just like yesterday, and I said it's just like every other book that is written by.
I talked about my culture.
I'm not actually replying to you. I'm not replying to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the books that actually make sense in the real sense of the word, just like the Savior we talked about, even the Brave New World and 1984. These two books make a lot of more sense than when people are talking about Bible and other religion. These are books that when you read, you see it yourself. 1984 and the Brave New World, they say all this, although even though they are projecting to the future. I say that because you are saying that maybe 800 years ago, they thought say people no go we talk on food, people no go believe. And I think I find it very difficult to believe that what is it? Those people who are living that 800 years ago, do you know how they exist? Do you know where their development is coming from? Because just let's use our own self as an example with the Africans. Assuming we don't get intruders coming into our life, you think we for your day inside bush get dormant like that? No, maybe we would have changed the world better than the way it is today. So it's a very kind of.
Okay, hold on. Let's go to Rap. Rap, go ahead. Rap, go ahead.
I will actually be logging off after 8 o'clock because I need to put somebody to sleep. So a few things. I have a question because earlier on when I brought it out, Banje, there was something that I forgot to ask. So on episode 31 on my podcast, I had somebody from Agbo, and he said something that brought me back to the Banje that I just recalled. So he was talking about his people from the part of Agbo that his people are from. And he said his people are famous for treating venomous, for having medicine for treating venomous, especially venomous animals, any venomous creature, especially snakes, venomous bites, venom from snakes. And they've been updating that treatment over the years. And that word update is what I underline. Updating their treatment over the years. So when I brought up Ogbanje, I was wondering, since Igbo people have been exposed to new information over the years, has that been updated for within the culture when it comes to Igbo people? So that's an aside. So I just want you to remember that question. The other things I will mention quickly is when we always say America is changing and America is updating, trying to go back, nobody ever brings up Native Americans. Nobody ever mentions indigenous people. There are over 500 Native American indigenous tribes over 500 Native American tribes. And not all of them believe in reincarnation, but the vast majority of them from Alaska down to Oklahoma believe, including Canada, I'm adding Canada because they're also indigenous people there, believe in one form of reincarnation. Even I read that some believe in a person's spirit can reincarnate into 5 bodies and vice versa. So there's some culture, some tribes have a whole different thing with reincarnation, and I think that makes me understand their acceptance of trans people, which is a whole different discussion. And final thing I will say is when isn't this a great isn't this an exposure of Nigerian universities? When we are talking about research, all the research that I've pulled up from the internet so far have been universities in America. I know that if I dig deeper, I will see research from universities in South Africa, universities in Egypt, because they tell their stories over there. Nigerian universities, all I know is we need to knock some gas, hammer, or pay for handouts, or we are fighting for salary increase. That's just the only thing. Wouldn't it be great for Nigerian universities to be doing research into something like this? And because all the research that I've seen, Igbo seem to be at the height, at the largest African tribe when it comes to reincarnations. So there is some research that can be done showing that there's something for Nigerian universities to do, but somehow Nigerian universities don't seem to be sourcing for funds to do research. And nobody ever seems to talk about universities doing research. You have South African universities coming up with vaccines, research. Moroccan, Egyptian universities are showing you how they came up with their pyramids and all those stuff, their history. Nigerian universities, I don't know, they can't even tell you the pyramids that were in Nigeria that the British destroyed in 1935. Who built that pyramid? Nobody still knows that. So these are all K-leg with our it's only church, mosque. So I don't know, but
Can I respond to that?
I want to leave. I want to leave, but can I?
Thank you.
Before I leave, to give somebody else space.
Okay.
There are 3 pyramids in Igbo land, for your information, and you have spoken well by saying that research should tell us more about what we believe. There are 3 pyramids. They are not looking very much like what you have in Egypt, but it's the same idea, the same building up of a structure, and we are yet to hear more about it. And I'm disappointed.
Are they still, Lexi? Are they still standing, or did the British not destroy all of them? So the British left some, not all, because what I've read from the archives that I've seen is that the British destroyed all the pyramids in 1935.
Okay, that may be something for me to note as well. So, but
I was never taught in school. Nigeria never saw anything until
nobody taught us that either.
There's a Facebook group. I'll find the name and type it on the chat. That group, I don't know how people find this information. And I saw Nigerian history that I've never seen before, and it showed me pyramids that existed in Nigeria and Igbo land, and I was like, Nigeria had pyramids. That's how I learned that. So,
So
thank you. I'll be leaving soon.
I want to take permission to leave, and there's one book I'm reading now. It is marvelous when you think about the Kanem Bornu Empire and those empires that are in the north, and even Middle Belt area. What happened between the British and them? We should try to find out more. But the bottom line about reincarnation, well, I think it's just an academic thing for us. I don't know what else we can do than to find more evidence to either support or disprove it. I don't know. So, good night to all of you. And
all right, thank you. I know Gabriel wants
that was the Insude pyramid you were referring to in the Igbo land. The Insude one, I think I know about it. It's in Odi, and it's a little bit dilapidated and round one. It was quite tall actually. About the height of 5 men put on top of each other, and round. And now, yeah.
Okay.
It's dilapidated.
Okay. Ovie, you want to say something before I go?
So about what Raf was saying about research, we try to play down our university and all that. But what do we believe that only research can be done or carried out by universities or this Western system of learning? Have you actually go down to this traditional palace in your village and say that I'm coming from one? That's what I'm saying. As we speak, my elder brother and I be king of Juju for my place, and that is because he wants my father title. No one give him based on the kind of his own lifestyle. I'm saying this because somebody who is coming from that kind of palace, there's so much that I learn and I know, even as grown up as young man up to today, that at no university if we go that deep. So the idea that we have to actually go to university to actually do all this research is incredible. Go to our traditional institution, go sit down for Oba Palace. What is they go invoke to you? You will surprise. We might not believe it because maybe the way they are putting it. But yes, all these things are there. Now, just as I said, now the way we welcome the foreigners that bastardize and organize everything for us, but they are still there. Never take those traditional institutions for granted. There's a lot we can learn regarding what we are talking about here.
All right.
Yes, Rudolph.
Can I say something
Let me
about
just say something before I
reincarnation?
leave. Let me just say something before I leave.
Is writing on the wall. What you say on the wall, Nsigbidi, which is the writing that the I don't know if it is the Igbos alone, but I know in the east of Nigeria, they started writing. Even when you come to your farm, somebody may have written something to say this land belongs to me, and they use something like figures of human hands and things like that. So there was a writing, but when the white man came, he scattered all these things, and we allowed it to happen.
All right,
okay.
Thank you.
Let me just say this before I leave. To obvious point, it's not only Western universities that do research. East exists. Everybody keeps saying West. People forget that there's an East. Everybody does research. Your universities exist in your country, educating your children. There's an opportunity for them to interact with your Oba and your King's Palace and get the archives that are in there, and they should be saving that and also educating your children. You leave that for individuals to walk K1, 2 and go. Why should individuals, when you have institutions, pre-colonialism, Mali, the kingdom of the ancient Ghana kingdom had universities. Why were kings building universities in the past? This is something people keep ignoring, and then don't build university, demolish all the university, and then let all the children go overseas. Let somebody else do the education, because there's no point in having the institution there and then allowing it go to waste. Let the universities do their job and utilize them. Why won't the Oba Palace and the university be talking? Why should an individual walk out of the university and then go to the palace? Two of them should be talking.
I see where you are coming from, but the foundation of our institution, what British curriculum or American curriculum? That's our foundation.
So will you stay in it forever? That's the point I'm making, because everybody keeps staying in it forever. You keep saying
that's
that.
That's where I kind of agree.
Repeat the North. The North is not Islam that dominates the North. Okay, so
our
foundation is Islam. Islam is Arabic.
I am not.
It's Arabic.
I am not totally disagreeing with what you are saying.
We don't have an excuse. Go and talk to people.
All right. I know you guys have a lot to say, but
you all have a good night.
Thank you
for having me
so much. Okay.
All of you here, go and click like on the video. Only 7 likes on YouTube now.
Please.
What are people doing? Go and click like, everybody.
What are you doing?
All right. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening, Nega.
It's so funny. I believe your topic is reincarnation.
Reincarnation, yes.
Okay. Ovie, you're absolutely right, because you said that why is it that people keep on quoting the Bible? Guys, there were books before the Bible anyway. So then Oki just said that the brother reincarnated. Reincarnation is real. And I'm going to say this based on what I learned since 1986. I was Catholic, and I've grown up to go to church all the time with my parents. I never questioned anything. But I will say that while I was growing up, I go to church religiously, I felt as a child there was this deep hole inside me. But then you know that in Nigeria, you don't have to go to your parents and say, I don't feel happy. You're not really allowed to say all that. So I grew up that way, even going to church. On ordinary days, I will go to the Aladura churches. I was attending any church that I see in Nigeria at that time. But I wasn't satisfied with anything. Even as a child, I wasn't. But again, like I said, there's nobody for you to discuss this with. So moving forward, when I came to United States in 1980, I came here 84, and by 85, somebody reported me to immigration, and didn't know what to do. I then ran into a woman that told me, why don't I chant Namyo Horengekyo and I will get out of this problem. I didn't believe the woman. I wasn't sure what she was telling me. But fast forward, I did what she told me. And from right there, my life really changed. Reincarnation is real. It is very real. What happens to human being, and that's when I began to study so much into Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, and I learned so much. Shakyamuni was in this world before the Bible, before the person you call Jesus. And again, in Catholic Church and in other churches, I was told, you look for God because it's outside you. No, it's not. It's inside you. You are that God. You have the power, you have the potential to be who you want to be. Because the moment I realized that, I never looked up at anybody going to a priest or going to a pastor to pray for me. Well, did I ask myself, has that pastor really prayed for themselves? Why would they then pray for me? The thing that I saw with Buddhism is that it's actual proof. It's not like you're doing something somebody is asking you to do. But when you do this, you see the proof. So I began to, even though for 11 years I didn't get that green card, but that deep hole, the courage of being able to solve any situation that I'm in, I began to, that began to change in my life. In terms of reincarnation that you're talking about, when people die, and again, if you watch the movie by Whoopi Goldberg, The Ghost, what happens is that ghost leaves. This empty body just stays there. And the person keeps walking around, depending on your karma, depending on how you've lived your life, you will be reborn again. And that's why, with what Okija said, seeing somebody in one of his brothers, they said that's his grandfather. It is true, because when you go back to the family, you will see this. They will say, and that's how in Igbo land, and it's not only in Igbo land you have reincarnation, it's all over the whole world. But in Igbo land, one of their cultures, they will give that person the name Nnenna, Nnanna, denoting that this is the father that just came back. And when you look at their behavior, they are mimicking exactly what that person was doing. In Buddhism, they do not believe in electrocuting anybody that has done wrong. Rather, they will say, why don't we rehabilitate that person? Why is this? Because if you electrocute that person, maybe because they're a serial killer, they will come back and they will start from wherever they have stopped. So when we are talking about doing a research here, there's so many other books that we really need to read. And for me, what really solidifies all these things for me is that if this Christianity is really working, before I left Nigeria in 1984, you have block rosary all over the places. Everybody, churches all over the places. So then why are we going down rather than getting better? Is what I don't understand. So we really need to, and that's why whenever I come on this platform, if anybody hears me talk, I never end any conversation without saying we need to really change our mindset. But reincarnation is real, okay? Because we're not going anywhere. And mind you that death is like when you're tired, you go to sleep. But in terms of death, you don't get to see that person again. But when that person comes back, you might see them, but you're not going to realize. And that's why sometimes you see somebody, you say, do I know you somewhere? Yes, you might know that person, but you're not going to know that that's the person. So reincarnation for me is real. And some of you in different ways have really touched it, but you have to do your own research. And there's so many things about Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism. It's all in line that you can read it and then you make your decision from there. But reincarnation is real.
All right, thank you so much. Next.
Can I say something about this?
She has to go and read Children of a Retired God to find out why our God is not working.
Can I add something to this?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the aspect of reincarnation, there are cases where people lose their memory and they are standing right there in front of you, but whom they are is gone. And the question you have to ask yourself is, who is this person standing before me? Is it the same person or the some other person? And it tells you something about life that we have, that the life we lead. All we are is memory. And if the memory is gone, we have a vessel. Does that vessel have a soul? What does it represent? When we go to sleep, we disappear and we reappear in the morning. Just because we have consistency of memory or an impression of it doesn't necessarily mean it's real. All we know is what we see, smell, and that comes through our senses. You have to ask yourself, what if somebody is deaf, dumb, blind, no skin, no sensory stuff is coming in? How does a person know anything? All we know is from our senses. And for us, I feel like we ascribing traits that we see in this life to definite answers like reincarnation, it would be a terrible mistake. It's like, you see, one thing I find is that religious people tend to be correct, but for different reasons. It's like a religious person saying that there is God, and atheist says there's no God. But in reality, there has to be God somewhere, because you didn't create yourself. Whatever is responsible for creating human beings or whatever exists is good enough to be God. But at the same time, it's not a God that is carrying sitting on a throne somewhere judging people. And I think that is the thing. Most people intuitively understand that there is some truth to some of the things they are saying, but there's no evidence. And the reasons why they are ascribing those traits to it may not be accurate. Because just because you say there is a God doesn't mean the God exists the way you think it is. But because a scientist discovered some things that disprove certain things, those ones go to the other extreme and say there's no God. When they know full well they didn't create themselves. So whatever created you and whatever exists, is it not good enough to be the creator, thereby God? And so for me, people swing both ways. You can't swing both ways.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, forefathers, hold on. Let me hear from Kene. Kene just joined us. Kene, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Damages. Ovie, can I get shaker?
Mungode.
So personally, I really don't want to believe that reincarnation exists. This has been something that I've been struggling with. However, with what I have around me, or what I've seen around me, makes it difficult for me to believe that reincarnation does not exist. Let me give you an example. I have an uncle. As the story goes, he's still alive to today. That when he was born, as a child, when a child starts learning how to talk, right? The first language, he always make mention of his wife's name. He will be asking his parents, where is my wife? He will call her name as a baby. And the shocking part of it was that my grandparents knew the lady he was talking about because they were from the same village, right? This is from Anambra State. Now, when he was growing, he started going to school, elementary school. After school hours, a child is expected to go back to the house, right? He would deviate to that old lady's house. And when he gets there, he will be referring her as his wife. He will be doing the house chores, fetching firewood, doing everything that a child has to do for the parent. But in that case, still referring her as his wife. This kept going. Even when he entered into secondary school, that was when the parents now had to move him to Lagos State. Now, he's still in Lagos anyway. Now, this one example that made me to find it very difficult to go against reincarnation. Now, in Igbo traditional belief, we have what we call Obanje. Obanje is a form of transmigration, which is equated to reincarnation as well. When a child is born and a child dies, and it's believed that this child comes back again. Which I was one of them. Sorry, I was given the mark because they thought I was going to die and come back again. So it was funny. Now, going to Christianity, the Christians also believe that reincarnation do exist. Prime example, Jesus Christ is coming back again. He died and is coming back again. That is a form of reincarnation.
Can I?
But sir?
If this is not personal, let me. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Is there people in your family who have sickle cell? Sickle cell carriers?
No, I don't think so. There's none.
There's none, and there's nobody who is SAS. That is.
I know where you're heading to. I know
where you're heading to. I know where
yeah, I know where you're heading to, but it's entirely because I know back then there might not be technology to find out if a child is sickle celled or not. I think such things do happen then. Thank God for technology. Now we can actually verify all these things. Okay. However,
continue with the story.
Yeah, this very one, my uncle's story now defeats sickle cell anemia kind of a thing. Now, I was talking about Christianity. Jesus Christ is believed to have died and is coming back again. That is a form of reincarnation. And so personally, reincarnation, I think it does exist because when you die, your spirit is somewhere. Where is your spirit goes to? Right? You see, what they call it. I was in Oka. I went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Then early 2000, there was this cultism activities in Oka. It was so hot. There was a day I was coming back from school, just very close to my house. An incident happened. A cultist was killed because it was a rival, cult group killing themselves then. So he was shot. And thank God I was around. So because we live in the same compound actually, so we rushed him to the hospital. There was this hospital along Atoeze. I've forgotten the name. So we got him there. He was bleeding profusely, like bleeding badly. The doctors were nowhere to be found. We kept calling the doctor. Doctor is in Enugu, is coming back. The next day, we've been waiting. We kept waiting. The nurses were doing all they could. The bullets were in his body, and he was dying slowly. But what actually shocked me was this guy was talking to me, telling me things that were happening outside the hospital premises. And if you go outside, you will see that that thing is happening. For example, when his dad was coming, he said that his dad is coming with his mom. The parents were coming. That we should find a way not to allow the mom coming. The dad can come. Nobody told us that the parents were coming. His head was on my lap. And then, before you know it, the parents were there. And we did exactly what he asked us to do. Now, there's another way. How did he get to know all those things? How did he get to see things happening outside? So his spirit was actually wandering around, right? So the spirit goes somewhere and there's a possibility of coming back again. I don't know. I'm just going by what I've seen or what I've told, what I was told.
Sorry.
So that's just me for reincarnation.
I'm gonna take off. I want to something he said about the cult, about cultism. Actually, this guy, my brother's friend. We were Anglican church in Onitsha, and this guy was killed. Cult activity. He was killed. I think it was a cult activity, and he was killed. His mom was getting ready to go to church on Sunday. He walked into the house. And mom said, "Where are you coming from?" He said, "Oh, from school." Mom said, "Okay, I'm going to church. I'm coming back." And when the mom came back, people were waiting for him, for her, that the guy died. She was like, "But he came working. When did he die here?" They said, "No, he died somewhere else." he died somewhere else. So I mean, some of this, there's so many things, we can't we can't explain. But like a reincarnation, there is body reincarnation and there is spirit reincarnation. In some, just like he was saying, the mark, I've observed it when I was growing up. People died. I have 2 siblings that died. Actually, I have two siblings. When the first one died, the first one was a boy. The second one died. They were like, because it was, they were after the boy died, the girl was born and then she died. It was like, that boy must be a one that they were gonna give her a mark. Actually, they gave her a mark. So then that was when I started asking questions why. So they started explaining to me, giving me stories, and that they give the mark, and that this you can read. I sent a link. I thought before I used to think that it was this Igbo people, that's their thinking, and they were talking about people that came back with marks. This UVM, University of Virginia research, they talked about it in America here. That the one boy that was shot, when he died or so, I think something happened to his ears, and he came back, and there's some guy that he has something in his ears. So these things, we can't just discount it and say, oh, they don't happen just because what you believe. I am the kind of person, when I try to investigate, try to learn. So we should just we should not discount this thing. Do your research, find out what is happening. Yeah,
excuse me. To add to what Okija just said now, when I was, I think I was in elementary, I was tender then. This happened in Plateau State. I grew up in Plateau State anyway. One good evening, our uncle came in. We've never seen him. We knew that we had uncles, but we've never met any of them. So my mom, she was like, oh, our uncle just came. And she was surprised too that he visited without even notifying her. And this guy lived in Lagos, right? And all of a sudden he was in Jos, unannounced. And he just swing by and he was like, oh, I just came to check you and the kids. That he came for a meeting, that he will come back tomorrow. And he left. No bread. Then in Jos, if you're coming from the east or Lagos, we're expecting bread or udala or ube, some kind of gift, So we are like, our uncle didn't even get us anything. The next day we came back from school and our mom was crying. What happened? That our brother, which was our uncle that just visited yesterday, actually died 3 days ago.
Hold on, can I hold on again? So you were there. Wait, you were there when he came?
What I mean?
You were there when he came. How old were you?
I was, let me say I was 7, 8, thereabout.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was saying that he came to our house yesterday and they were telling her that he died 3 days ago. That was one. One happened when I've already graduated from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. My mom's friend, her closest friend, my mom went to the village. She got to the village. They went for burial ceremony of somebody. And she met this lady there. Her friend, she lived in Noka too. She met that there. They exchanged greetings. And a few minutes after, somebody was telling her, oh, didn't you hear that your friend died yesterday? She was like, what do you mean? My friend that I just saw today. What happened? She was not sick. She wasn't sick. So what happened? She had an accident. She died. My mom said, no, I just saw her a few minutes ago. So I believe spirit moves around. Does it transmigrate, come back again? That is a possibility because we have Obanje and all these things existing before Christianity, and Christianity actually acknowledged that.
And
so that's just what I have to add.
It's always people that die violently that that do these things, that it appear to people. In Igbo, from stories I've heard, people that die violently, they are always the one that appear to someone else.
Okay, hold on. Obia, you wanted to say something.
You see, okay.
No. Somebody say when Bible die, where did they go? They come back. And one day they say to Donald Trump and the GOP. So that's funny. Yes, it's talking about where the Ogbaje they revenge themselves. Is that if I'm not mistaken, that was his question, right? That's a white label.
Yeah.
What do you mean they don't? Back in the days now, go to the drink now. Now they drink champagne. No be.
Yeah,
no be another way of improving with that.
Let's go to serious people. Abubakar, what do you want to say?
Yes. Just to add to what Kena said, the problem with believing this kind of things. I mean, yeah, it happened. Maybe you experienced it, but if you try to explain it to somebody, that person probably may not understand. But believing this kind of stories, I think it is what is also leading us to having fraudsters as pastors and imams. Then somebody will be absent in his hotel for about 2, 3 days, and when he comes back, he'll be telling you stories. He went to heaven, God told him to do this and to do that and to do that. That's like I was watching a BBC documentary, is it last month, that a pastor burned down his church members. He burned them all. He locked them inside the church, he poured petrol, and burned them all because he told them that by the year 2000, the world will end, Jesus will come. And then 2000 is there. January, Jesus is not there. February, Jesus. March, when they started asking questions, probably he thinks they might expose him. So he locked them up in Kenya. He locked them up and buried them. We have the kind of people like that in Islam too. Somebody who called himself Imam. I was watching one guy also. He came to Kano. He said he is from Morocco, that he is the third descendant of Prophet Muhammad. Therefore, he is Prophet Muhammad incarnate, and he is there to wipe out all their sins at a price, though. So believing this kind of stories are personal experience, there's no way to prove it. And then the difference between this kind of beliefs or religion belief and science, science doesn't claim to know all the answers. And it doesn't say for definitely for certain that this is it. They are always open to change their mind with a new evidence. Unlike religion, you just have faith. You don't question it. If you try to question it, sometimes you land yourself in trouble. And this reincarnation too, isn't that a bit contradictory with religion teachings also? There is a judgment day. So if you keep on dying and reincarnating and dying and reincarnating, when will the judgment day come down again? Then we are still in the same cycle. Had it been you reincarnate and become a tree or a dog, probably you live shorter life, and then the natural eco cycle continues. And that is it. Now we die, we are energy, we die probably, we decay, and we we give the soil good nutrients for other plants to grow. And I mean, there are
Can I say
things
something?
that we believe as a stories that are very, very good for social cohesion, but wrong if we are to bring evidence for that. So soul and even consciousness is being debated among the philosophers and psychologists and neuroscientists, stuff like that. So it's very difficult to prove that you are a conscious being. Then how could you prove again that somebody will die and then reincarnate the same person? And then he will not know. None of us, I said it earlier, none of us was consulted before we were born. Toby repeated it. I don't know. I didn't choose my family. I didn't choose the religion I was born into. I don't have option over.
Abubakar. Hold on, sorry, I have a question for John Abba. It has to do with what we are talking about. John Abba, if you can hear me. I mean, growing up, there's this story they used to talk about the middle bed people in specific. That let's say somebody, unjustly kill you, right? So when they want to bury that person, they will, chant a lot of incantation. They will actually they put cutlass in that person's grave. That go and make sure you revenge your killers. So those are the stories that we grew up on. So and again, particularly to the middle belt now, which is where John Abba came from. So that's why I said, let me direct the question to you. If that is actually happening, is it a tradition? Is it real, or is just one of those stories that to keep us away from the street or something?
Okay. It's always hard to deal with metaphysical questions all the times. It's always hard. Metaphysical questions are always hard to answer. Possession, causality, fate, and whatever.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
All right. I think I have to address what I think forefathers and Abu Bakr, so that I will not forget some of the points that I want to say. You see, when you talk about reincarnation, it's not for me to convince you. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, speak
Yes,
up a
we
little
can
bit.
hear you.
All right, it's not for somebody to convince you. Like when after hearing stories that Ekene said, he's not saying it for you to convince you, just like he said. That's why we have four stars in some other religion. He is saying it out of a personal experience. It's left for you to debunk it. You get? He is convinced personally. So he was saying that okay, till now he's still contemplating, believing if there's reincarnation or not after you have all these personal experiences. So one, for me, the essence of having this conversation or this deliberation is not for you to convince somebody. Not only pray, I don't do that. I don't go about convincing someone. I don't even engage myself. If it's not a conversation that improves us, I don't do things to
Okay, Gabriel,
my idea.
your line is bad. Gabriel, your line is bad. I'm trying to hear you. I don't know how that's feel, but it's difficult.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Okay, that's better.
Yes, it's better now.
Yeah.
Hello, is it better?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It is better now.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it is better now. We can hear you.
What's happening?
Maybe he's not hearing himself.
All right, maybe some other person can talk. Let me see what's wrong with the connection.
That's how reincarnation happens. Okay, go ahead.
Hello?
All
Okay.
right.
Janaba, go ahead.
All right. Are you asking me
Hello?
a question to verify?
Yeah, Gabriel, hold on. Okay, Janaba, go ahead.
What's happening?
Yes.
Ovia, are you asking me a question to, or you are
Yes.
saying?
No, I'm asking you, is there any truth to that?
I never died to come and stone anybody. But what you are trying to say.
Okay, is it better now?
Gabriel, we moved on to Janaba. We'll come back to you, okay? Go ahead, go ahead.
That's different from reincarnation. What you are trying to say is the tradition of the middle belt that I know is that when they believe somebody kill you unjustly, then they before they bury you, they put like stone, like you said, maybe knife that you should revenge and the people that kill you, and those things are spiritual. So spiritual things, who knows how it happens, but those are the things they practice traditionally. I think it's a little different from reincarnation.
All right, so we have to round up now.
Hello. Doctor.
Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah.
The issue of this information or this issue of somebody died believing to be killed and the knife was given to the buried together with the corpse, it's not only peculiar to the Middle Belt. It's part of a tradition in some certain part of our eastern region. Anyway, it's not only peculiar to the Middle Belt. There are some areas in Igbo land in olden days. It's like a tradition, that they believe such in that. So it's not only peculiar to the Middle Belt. It happens within some area in Igbo land. Anyway, very sure of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, okay, one point, please. And there are people that justifies the reality of what do you call it, reincarnation by relating it to near-death experience argument. As psychologist, I don't know if you have heard about this near-death experience, but they are using near-death experience to justify the existence of reincarnation. Many religions believe it. I too, I have to deal with the contradiction because I live in a society that believes in reincarnation.
Excuse me, Aliu, Bubakar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me ask you, what you wear is actually from, that is the Doma tradition, red and black, right?
Well, this is AC Milan jersey actually.
Oh, we are all intermingled, but this is my saying. You said about a pastor or even a imam preach and kill their followers or something, tell them. That is also different from reincarnation. What happened is that I'm not a scientist, but we all have a basic knowledge of science and all of that. Some of these things are mental illness. If they really go into it, and people use spirituality to cover so many things, whether you are a Muslim or you are a Christian or you are Hindus, whatever the religion you believe, that cuts across every belief. So
Yes,
I think that
yes,
does not
that's yeah. That's my point. That's my point. Maybe it is mental illness, but it starts with believing things like that. That you are not supposed to ask question. If somebody says it happens, you just have to believe it happened without any evidence. So if you are growing up and you are hearing these kind of stories and you are believing it, you are more prone to accepting theories or lies from either pseudoscientists or religious leaders that want to extort you. So you are believing this, and gradually it will be building up. So you stop analyzing things critically, and you stop asking questions. Whatever a person of authority says is final. If he says the world is ending, or if you call you an evil and you are it is better for the society that you are dead than alive, then all of the congregation will turn against you. That is what I'm saying. You don't have to provide any evidence. I know imams that are sitting here in Yola and they will be telling you, I prayed evening prayer in Saudi Arabia and now I am back. And the people believe it. We are together and he will say his spirit is there. He will not pray with us here because his spirit is there and he already prayed there this time. And once you dare question him, you'll be in trouble.
Okay, so rounding up now, I just want to say, if we have the means of bringing up maybe knowledge or what do you think when you get your chance? What do you think would be something you want to see studied, or what you want to know that will help us figure out our place in this world? Because that's part of the conversation we're having. The bigger concept is who are we? How did we get here? Obviously, we don't have a final answer, or some people don't even have an answer. Some people don't even believe there is an answer to that, and I don't think we are going to arrive at that. But I'm just thinking, if you can put on your thinking hat and you ask yourself, what do you want to see? What do you want to know that probably will help us to figure out our place in this world? I'll start with you, forefathers.
From what I can observe, I think was it Einstein that said the eternal mysteries of the universe is its comprehensibility. To expect to understand the universe is, I think maybe if we were meant to, we should have known that by now. With billions of people that have passed without even having a clue. As I said earlier on, maybe most of all this experience people have is actually true, but the explanation is wrong. Just like sickle cell. There was a time we thought sickle cell was something else. We thought God was a guy sitting on a chair. And, it's all kinds of stuff we used to think. It's just that science proves a lot of things to be accurate. Like now, recently, they found out that human beings can actually perceive beyond error sources of food, something that is not normal. That it means that we do have extra perceptionary senses that we really don't necessarily tap into. It might be that some of these experience people have, they see somebody that is dead, it's actually true. I've seen somebody that testified to, seeing DMX when he died and all the rest of it. So they do these things. Maybe it's because we perceive things, but we don't know why. We're just ascribing things to it because we don't really understand it yet. And it doesn't mean that it's not true. And this is what I said earlier on. religious people might be intuitively correct about what they are talking about, but it doesn't mean that their explanation is correct. And that is the model that we are seeing. We are just trying to understand it. If to ask for one thing, I would say reveal reveal the meaning of all these experiences that we have, and connect them up so that it makes sense to people. But the purpose of absolute truth, I don't know whether it is there in this reality. I don't know what the point is. Physicists believe that the purpose of life is to increase entropy, which is the rate of the disorder in the universe, so that the universe will die off and be reborn again. So that is the purpose of life. So when we dig deep into this, there are layers upon layers. But on this reincarnation one, I think there is something, if there's a phenomenon happening, but the explanation is faulty. That's all there is.
All right. Thank you, forefathers. Ovie.
The purpose of life is for you to live and let's live. That's what I mean. I think, as I said, well, my own studying and research has not gone beyond the fact that we are not that important. We are just like every other animal that roam the earth. So if we cannot explain where the other animals go after they die, just like the example I used earlier on, the Christmas goat that you ate, what happened? Is it going to come back or not? So we are not that important. I can't stop stressing that. The purpose of life to me, I think whatever that means, whatever that make it meaningful, whatever that make your life meaningful to you, that's what it is. Because, as I said, billions that came before us, and billions are still going to come before us, and this kind of discussion is still going to continue. Is it going to be on this space that we live currently discussing it? I don't think that is going to be, because people who came before us, they didn't live the kind of life we are living now, or this space we are living now. So the idea that we keep thinking, why are we here? Who are we? Until we know, just as you started by your question, the first people that came before us, how did they get here? Since we cannot actually phantom that, to me, it's a research that we will keep researching, and we're never going to get to the truth. Just as I'm find what Aliu said, science is not absolute.
All right.
It's not.
All right,
so
but let me push a little bit over here for you. You said until we figure out where the Christmas goats that we killed came back. For the goats, they might be looking at you. Let's say you own the goats, and then one day they don't see you again. They will be wondering, when are you going to come back? And you might reincarnate, but they don't know. The goats will not know that you reincarnated. The same way that you may not know that the goats reincarnated somewhere in your neighbor's compound. Anyway,
let me give you this story.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid,
Okay.
let me round up with this. I, for sure, sleep in the same room with my mom. And I remember when she woke up one morning and said, her father is gone, that she lost her dad. And I was like, how do you know that? Said that he came to tell her that she's leaving. And she just left the house. And in fact, as soon as you get there, everybody was crying that the old man died. And I lost my mom 4 years ago. She didn't tell me she's going, and I'm still waiting for her to come and tell me to say okay. So,
maybe
I'm not going to say she's lying.
maybe you were not a good son. Maybe you were not a good son. She just said,
No. I use that. My mom is handbag and my mother's handbag. so don't tell me my dad. I lost my dad when I was young. Up to today, more than 20-something years ago, the man never knocked us the alpha. I was a good kid at that time. I was still very, very young. So am I going to say she's lying or I'm right? So, I mean, it's a misery.
Let me put the goat analogy into another, to see it from another perspective. Is that when you figure out where the candle light goes, when you blow it off, then you tell us where or how the incarnation occurs. So if you have a candle and you blow off the fire, where does the fire go? So if you figure that out, probably you can tell us.
You can see your path.
If you can see your path and fortify it, you know where life goes.
Wow. Okay. I like that. I like that. I'll answer that next time. I'll leave. I'll answer that. Nick, okay. So round up for us.
Okay, for me, the rounding up I would say is that I seriously believe in reincarnation. That's number one. Number two, if people wants to figure out things, they should chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to develop more wisdom and they can see things clearly. That's all I can say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nega. Janaba, round up for us.
Ove cannot handle the appearance of his mother to come and tell you are too baby that your mother, if she told you, you would die before her. That's why.
Oh my God.
All right.
No. So I think it's good. We'll see again next time at work, but I try to be in touch with my doctors for diagnosing me with whatever is going on.
Thank you, Janaba. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Sonny, round up for us. Okay, I'll come back before Kenneth.
Yeah, Doctor, I think I'm torn between the faith of what I know my grandfather believes in, Ogbuefi Nebu, who was never a Christian, but a traditional believer, and I was born into a Christian growing up as an Anglican. But in contrast of the two, I can equally say I will revert back to our traditional way of life, because my grandfather and the way they live their life and things they do was so pure, natural, that in contrast to what they indoctrinized me as a Christian, that lure me into a kind of a world of absurdity. So what am I saying? I have a life to live, have a personal communion with the Almighty, unquote, I believe. But religion to me is opium of deceit. And life is nothing but be nice, be natural, say the truth, live the purified life the way it ought to be. Whatever happens after death, then the Almighty God, if so much believes that He exists, can be able to take care of that. Let me not go much about the mystery of life, because it's beyond human comprehension. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I know Abuaka, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to round it up because what I think we need is freedom of inquiry in Nigeria. I mean, you not just in the constitution or in theory that you have right to say whatever you want, and then when you say it, the consequence will be there. So in society, I wish we would be allowed to ask tough, to ask our lecturers, our religion leaders, our politicians tough questions in a public where everybody is watching to see if they can handle it. Difficult questions that we are battling here. I mean, the reincarnation, how does it happen? The God, okay, how can I trust that this religion is true because I was born into it, I was raised, I was not told any other thing about other religions so that I will be able to make comparison and see which one is better. I belong to one religion, and if I dare leave that religion, there will be consequences. I wish if we can have a society where you can decide, compare the two, or let the education system be so secular in such a way that both religion will be taught at the same time by experts, so that the children or the individual will grow up and then make a comparison, analyze, and choose what to believe or which faith to follow without any kind of stigma and threat to life, because this is not what is happening in Nigeria. I can remember one guy, Mubarak Bala, maybe you read the story. He's the son of an imam. He studied chemistry. He decided to be an atheist, and then the president of Nigerian Humanist Association. So just one Facebook post landed him in trouble because he criticizes Islam and Prophet Muhammad. First, he was accused of being insane. He was taken to psychiatry. Later on, he managed to get in contact with the outside world. So there was a cry. So he was accused of blasphemy, and then he was tried in Kano and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Imagine this kind of stuff. You cannot criticize one person and you will not be taught how to use your senses and analyze context to just we. I mean, we live in a society where disagreeing with some people would land you in trouble, and asking certain people tough questions will also land you in trouble. I wish we can have a liberal education system where tough questions can be asked and be answered. Whoever calls himself or happen to be in a position of authority will have to study hard and know about a lot of things before actually coming on stage to address people. We have to stop this blind obedience and faith in individual. If you believe in God, find a way of relating with your God, not an individual that is obviously capitalizing on you to make his own life better. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
So sorry,
So I think I have
sorry.
to
Let me just say
round it up.
something.
Okay.
You're a Muslim, Abubakar. You're a Muslim, and you are from the
Obviously.
north. Well, how is he not in trouble? Because the way he sounds like somebody that will get into trouble easily in the north.
Well, we know by tomorrow. We know by tomorrow.
Because that girl
Come
was
on,
killed in the north.
forefather,
No,
you
no,
don't
I'm just
understand this Lord.
thinking.
What do
I'm
you think
just
this Lord
thinking.
is? What do you think
No,
the
no,
Lord is?
I'm just
Satanic,
thinking the
Satanic
girl at
society.
school was murdered because she says that he did something wrong,
No,
and
there's
this
nothing.
guy is saying
No, no.
things that is going to trigger people.
I didn't say anything
Oh,
wrong. There's nothing
no,
that if anybody says Albaka
He's
didn't say anything.
questioning existence of God and all kinds of
no,
stuff.
So we are
no.
having a conversation.
Godfather,
Forefather,
Godfather,
the North
Godfather,
is
you
not as
not
we are
go there.
perceiving it, my guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very
Godfather,
simple society
are Yeah, you
compared to the
questioning
North.
existence of God in intellectual sense. It's not
Yeah,
for
we're
this
having an
discussion,
intellectual
right? We are
discussion. So
having
it's not.
an
Yeah,
intellectual discussion where all kind of things can be explored.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all.
in some circles, even that is not allowed. Like exploring whether that guy was going out with a younger lady. People don't like that. They don't want to explore that at all. If you try that, you're gonna have problems.
All right. Can
Yes,
I
that is
round
what
up
I'm
for us?
talking about.
Yes, talking about the mystery of life. I think the great mystery of life is the length of it. Yes, science is not absolute. And that is why we keep exploring, we keep researching, keep trying to know or unravel those mysteries. And I think there are some things that are beyond human comprehension. There are things that whatever spirit or whatever supernatural being held to himself and never to be revealed to human. I said it because personally I keep wondering, how can we be able to unravel this mystery of one came to life and after some years you're dead, you're gone. Where do you go to? The other religions told us that when you die and you live your life righteously, you go into heaven. And I ask, heaven to do what? Because you created me in the first instance and asked me to come to this world and stay, which means I have no place with you over there. So why will I die and come to you when you were never there for me all this while? So you created me and you allowed me here, and then when I died, I go to heaven. Really? And if I wasn't righteous, I go to hell, and you are my father. So my father created me and made two um, 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 client for me. One is heaven, the other one is hell, right? My father, you love me so much and you did that. So I try to understand these things. Is it truly what God meant for human, that when you die, some people are reserved to be in heaven and the others are in hell? And again, one other thing that keeps bothering me is in our place where we come from, we're told that in one of the religions that our forefathers, the sins of our forefathers, are after us, and that is why they always break uh, what they call it, sins of the ancestral curses. Do you understand? Ancestral curses. And I ask, what did my ancestors do wrong? They say they killed, they did that. Okay, where I live, their ancestors killed us too, kill our ancestors. So why is the ancestral spirit not pursuing their children? Why is it only us from Africa that ancestral spirit will be disturbing us. So all these things keep wondering. Like I keep let it be let it just be a kind of supernatural intervention where all these things will be unraveled and we will know our place. If my place is hell, I will know, okay, after all, I'm going to hell. If my place is in heaven, but all this, I don't know. So it's a mystery. The length of it is what I don't think we will be able to unravel. We just keep living as human, keep doing our best, trying to explore things, our possible best. We have the science, which has already agreed that life is a mystery. So I don't know.
Dr. Rudy.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go, I know we are wrapping up. Only Black people have that kind of hope in after death they'll go to heaven. But while they're on earth here, I don't understand. So God created heaven, and He stay in heaven, and then we are here.
Suffering.
Just like that, this young man said, Black people, we believe this that much. White people don't believe that, but they don't want us to know. Because
Janaba, we can't hear you now. We can't hear you, Janaba. All right.
I think his network, huh?
Yeah, his network. But it's been very, very interesting conversation. I really appreciate all the contributions from everybody.
So I miss where Obi Wan go to war. Is it against Nigeria or for Nigeria?
Oh, yeah, exactly. We didn't get to that because this was more interesting. I think we wanted to make.
Oh, okay. You didn't even discuss that. All right. So I didn't miss anything there.
No, we didn't discuss that. We'll move it another time. Yeah. Okay. So but I thank everybody who joined us today. It's been wonderful. You learn a lot. I think when we expand our scope, what we care about, we see what connects us, more than when we limit it to who will win the presidency of Nigeria. See if that will explain to me where I'm going to go after here. Anyway, but these are important conversations. I think we should also find time for them.
Yeah.
A lot of things came out of this, and I appreciate everybody's contribution. Thank you so much, forefathers, for joining us.
Ovia.
Thank you.
Ovia, sorry, let me ask Ovia. Ovia, you were saying something about Peter Obi war. What war are you talking about? Did he say anything about war?
Yeah.
No,
there was a topic we were going to discuss, but I didn't get to that, which was he said he will fight if there is a war in Nigeria. So I wanted to talk about the possibilities of war, but that will be for Saturday. Okay. So thank you, everybody, and I will see you guys on Saturday. We have a special program. I'll beg that you join us. It's a conference on COVID-19. What Nigeria did, how Nigeria can prepare for the next pandemic. We brought some experts together, and they are going to have that conversation. I want you to join. It will be on Zoom, not on this stream. So I will send it out to everybody who is following me on WhatsApp and all the social media platforms. So you can see it on Facebook, on YouTube. We have to join.
Are we going to be allowed to participate?
Yeah. No, you will. There will be questions and answers. So we are bringing together some doctors in Nigeria, some doctors here, some government officials who played a role, and some of the victims, people who suffer from COVID. So it's a wide conversation. So I'll plead that please join us if you have a chance. All right.
Okay. Dr. Damages, I'm actually not following you on WhatsApp. I don't know you have WhatsApp.
Okay. I have an. I'll share my number on the private chat, so you can get it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. See you on Saturday then.
I'll see you on Saturday. Thank you so much.
Sir.
Okay.